everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. Happy Friday Eve from Brooke Grimsley, Danny Mac, Matthew Rocchio, Randy Carricker. It's 7 o'clock in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Good morning, kids. How are you doing?
Doing great this morning. It's a little, not sunny, I guess is the best way to describe it outside. Steamy as well.
I was just going to check second alert weather, Brooke.
Okay, thank you.
I'm glad you brought it up because we do have an excessive heat warning in effect until 7 o'clock tonight. I thought it was until 7 o'clock last night, but it's 7 o'clock tonight that we have the excessive heat warning. So don't go outside. Just you'll roast outside.
I was outside all day yesterday.
Oh, well, you were golfing?
I played golf, and then I did some yard work. Yeah, I love the heat.
I love
Give
the
me
heat
the heat
too.
over the cold any day.
I
Same
do
way.
too, 100%, Dan. 1,000,000%. There is no doubt about that. That being said, I was in my basement watching the basketball game, USA basketball game, and watching the Cardinal game. And Brooke just mentioned literally the seconds before we went on the air that she messed up her nap yesterday. I dozed off too. I dozed off during the middle of the basketball and baseball games.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
You were very pumped, especially for Team USA.
I know, but then
will
they
have
get
to
way
say.
ahead, and I think, oh, okay, they got it. And the Cardinals were way ahead, and I'm thinking, oh, they got it. So I felt like I must have, just instinctively felt like, okay, these games are over. It's time to fall asleep.
The naps have to be very well timed. I usually try to set an alarm. I try to do the military nap as well, where it's around like 20-ish minutes because that actually benefits you the most. I forgot to set an alarm yesterday, and it went from like a 20-minute nap to a 3-hour nap, which just really throws off the rest of the evening.
Do you guys ever take a nap and then wake yourself up by snoring?
No.
I have not done that, Randall.
I did yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, woke myself up. Matthew, I think it's a sleep.
That's the most dad thing in the
I was
world,
gonna
and I
say, do you have
think it
sleep
might.
apnea?
I think it might be a cry for. I think it might be a bodily cry for help in a way.
Yeah, I think it's sleep apnea, which is.
Do you have a sleep app machine?
Yeah, but I never use it
Why not?
because it's the worst. It's you can't sleep with a giant thing over your face and a tube going into a machine. I just can't. I not once when I used the CPAP machine did I get through the entire evening.
Joan wishes you did.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I defy anybody that's tuned in right now to text in 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho!
Got it right.
For Daniel.
No, it's an early one.
I think they've advanced the technology.
They have.
Because I know Doug Vaughn used to down the hall hated a CPAP machine, but they've advanced technology where I think it's a lot more convenient, a lot smaller.
Well, they've got this thing called Inspire that they can actually install. In your
there you
body.
go.
But I don't have that, and I don't want to have any sort of device inserted into my body at the moment. But here's the thing.
The wording on that
Here's the
was
thing.
Hold
peculiar.
on, you said at the moment.
Yeah, at
when
some
would you
point.
want it? Is there some point you want something in your body?
Well, at some point, if the sleep
Just saying.
if the sleep apnea gets you, you say, okay, if
Gets ya.
it's, I'm sure that it affects me. I'm sure that I'm more tired than I should be, like when I fall asleep in the middle of a game. But I'll bet you that I can't imagine people go through the whole night with their mask on. I roll. I'm a side and back sleeper.
Yeah.
I can't use it. I just can't use it.
I know somebody that uses it, and it actually benefits them. One of the photographers over at KMOV who is still over there, when we went to Boston for the Stanley Cup final, he had to bring his sleep app machine because that's the only way that he could sleep through the night. And we had to stay in Salem because we couldn't get a hotel in Boston. And we stayed at this very old, kind of haunted hotel. Maybe somebody could tell me that it's in the middle of Salem. It's an old, kind of very scary hotel.
With the witches, the
And
Salem
when
witches,
when we
yeah.
checked in, they were like, oh, by the way, the electricity has been going out at like 1 a.m. every night. And he was like, I have a sleep app machine. Like, I can't do that. And it completely threw him off. So I think it's very beneficial for people.
Well, I don't know.
Give it a try, Randy. I use mouth tape, by the way.
Okay.
That's how I sleep.
Okay.
Really?
I'll
Yeah.
try it.
And it works?
Dan looks, you look scared, excited. Yeah.
No,
wonder
I'm more
if anybody,
curious. Just curious.
Yeah, I use mouth tape. I got the mouth tape off of Amazon because I kept seeing the benefits of it, and it actually helps me sleep without snoring or anything like that.
So what are the benefits? Just a better night's sleep?
Yeah, better night's sleep. I wake up in the morning, my nose is not stopped up or anything like that. I really enjoy it. It
Well,
looks
right.
crazy, though. I scared when we were flying over to Croatia for the honeymoon, I put some on to sleep, and it scared the flight attendant.
It scares me just hearing about it.
What if you would just use like duct tape?
I guess you could, but that would definitely look a little bit more suspicious, I would say.
Well, yeah.
You know, I love the texters, and this is 314, and maybe we get a lot of texts today, and just, there's not much going on after the McGreevy start yesterday, and Cardinals
Tommy
go to
Pham,
the Cubs,
MVP.
Tommy Pham, USA Basketball, but the texters, they're all over the place, and good morning, my name is Pat from O'Fallon, Missouri, 62 years old, for a listener for a long time. Loved the interview with Mo. Was great. He's been kind of on the downside of popularity. I thought he looked or sounded truly honest. Great interview. Keep up the good work. That was very nice.
That's very nice. Thank you.
Yeah. I thought Mo was great yesterday.
I thought he was great. I thought that we could have done a better job of holding him accountable.
But we were carrying the water, so it's kind of hard to do that.
That's true. Yeah, it's a good point, Brooke. We have a job to do here, and that is to make the Cardinals look good. I still haven't gotten my check, though. Matthew and I have been talking about this for years now, because apparently I do get checks from Bill DeWitt. But 11647 Olive Boulevard, St. Louis Mo, 63141. Bill, hello.
Don't give out your address.
It's our work address.
Oh, it's a work address. Okay.
Yeah. You had a positive balance, and they were going to send you a check, but then you came after Sonny Gray signing, and it wiped it all out.
I didn't come after the Sonny Gray signing. All I said was, if you're going to spend a record amount of money to be a 500 team, it's a waste of money. That's all I said.
That's all I said.
Okay, so do you think if the Yankees had a record payroll for them and finished 500, do you think they'd be happy with it? You think the Doyers, if they spent a record amount, any team in baseball, if the Cubs spent more money than they had ever spent and they went 81-81, wouldn't that kind of be a waste of money? Because you'd probably not make the playoffs.
He had a 5-star month with a 6.75 ERA. What are you talking about?
Hey, leave the guy alone, little fella.
Oh, Randy.
Come on, Randall.
Cardinals did roll yesterday over the Rangers 10-1. They beat the world champions.
What a segue.
6-11 with runners in scoring position. Bottom 4 spots in the lineup. Pham, Donnie Baseball, Pajes, Siani combined to go 7 for 14 with 8 runs batted in. Pham's doubler was the only XBH of the 7. And the Cardinals roll by a score of 10-1. But Michael McGreevy was the story of the day. Why hasn't he been here before?
That was shocking, to say the least. I was not expecting
that. Mo kind of called that, too. Mo kind of called that on our show.
Yeah, you're right. That was great to see from Michael McGreevy. I was not expecting that whatsoever. I thought it was funny, Tommy Pham in the post-game comments when they mentioned the spot start. This was his reaction to McGreevy and his day.
Really, that was a spot start? Man, we got to try to keep him here then. If he goes 7 innings against, a lineup like that, he could help us win. Yeah, I liked what I saw. He attacked the strike zone, worked quick for us, which is huge. We have a quick inning. He goes out there and he's throwing strike one. That's big.
That was Tommy Pham's reaction to Michael McGreevy's
Pretty
spot
much
start.
summed it up.
Yeah, he's like, wait a minute, this is just a spot start? Let's keep him here.
Yeah, we got a pretty good
I
rotation
think a lot
now.
of people were thinking about that, too, yesterday.
And there's a guy that actually looks younger than Brad Thompson. Never thought I'd see it, but he does look younger than Brad. McGreevy, when you watch him, and I talked to some people down in the minor leagues, and I said, what should we expect? And they said he doesn't throw hard, but when he's right, he gets ground ball outs. And he has to be pinpoint, and he was yesterday. His ground ball rate through 5 innings was 62%. And sometimes I go back and look at game scores of pitchers, and he was in the top 20 starts this season for the Cardinals. Top 20 of the starts that they had with his game score. So he sacrificed a mile per hour to get more movement on his, and a velocity to get more movement. And he showed 6 different pitches, and he threw them 10 different times. I mean, when you do that and you throw strikes and you pound the zone with, and I thought his cutter was exceptional, especially on the lefties. When you do that, you're going to have success. You don't need to throw 95, 98. You can be now you got to be pinpoint, because you're not going to get away with a lot at 90, but he was yesterday, and that was impressive to see.
Well, if the Cardinals have another situation like they had last week where they had to start Matthew Liberatore, I'm guessing that McGreevy would be the next guy. He'll go back today, won't he? Or whenever they activate Fetty, he'll go back to the minors.
And they got to activate Armstrong or bring him into the fold. So you got Fetty and Armstrong activated. I would imagine that Lotus, and he'll be optioned out with McGreevy.
Yeah.
But the other thing, the byproduct of that start is that you save your bullpen. I mean,
Right, huge.
You going into a 4-game series at Wrigley where things get crazy, you save the bullpen, and that is a big, big thing for this team.
Also, you have back-to-back games where they were actually able to win by a pretty big margin. Mo talked about that yesterday, too. You had an 8-1 victory, and then yesterday, a 10-1 victory. 6 for 11 with runners in scoring position, 14 hits for them, and they scored 10 runs without a homer. I think that's one of the biggest things there is that they were able to do that, is that they were to score in different ways, something that we haven't really seen consistently or that much of this season.
No, and I'm interested to watch how this all unfolds with Tommy Pham, with the story that Wayno told us yesterday. Here's a guy that can hold people accountable, that has been to the World Series, who knows how to win, and is willing to tell young people and veterans how to go about winning. I'm intrigued to see how this team changes with his presence.
Well, it helps when you have exit velocity so far of 106, 106, 103, and 104.
Yeah.
You hit the ball like that, you stay in the lineup, too. And there's something to that. You know, at the age of 36, this is one of his final go-arounds you would have to anticipate. So not only does it do something for the clubhouse, but I would imagine it does something for Tommy Pham, too.
Yeah.
There's something left in the tank, and now they have a shot to get into postseason play. So don't overlook what this could do for a spark. Randy, you mentioned it yesterday, but I was thinking of like Will Clark when the Cardinals added him. Cesar Cedeno when the Cardinals added him in the mid-'80s. Those guys were just jolts to a lineup, and they were energized too.
Right.
So the individual gets energized as well, and we know Tommy's got talent, and we'll see if it comes out down the stretch here.
Tommy back in Chicago tonight. Cards and Cubs. It'll be sunny gray against Shoto Imanaga. Should be nice and cool on the north side tonight for a night game, so sunny should be fine.
1, 2, 3 jerseys that he's going through?
Probably 2 tonight. Let's see what the temperature is going to be in Chicago.
I don't think
jerseys don't benefit him.
You love Imanaga. I don't think he has started against the Cardinals yet, right? This will be their first look at him.
Did he have one? Didn't he have one?
I thought he was pushed back in a start here, a weekend series in St. Louis, and did not start. So that's something to keep in mind. They haven't seen him yet, and he's a left-hander, doesn't throw incredibly hard, and just historically, those have gotten the Cardinals. We'll see if that happens tonight.
There was one.
Yes, June 15th. He mowed the Cardinals down. 7 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, 1 earned run. Struck out 6, and they won 5-1. And that one was in Wrigley.
Saturday afternoon.
Obviously, I remember it quite fondly.
One of your most cherished memories, huh?
It is.
Well, I think the first time they were supposed to face him, they got pushed back. So now this will be the second time.
Thank you, Brooke, for covering my butt.
And you will see Eric Fetty this weekend.
Yep.
So we'll get to see what we have with him, at least in that first start. And the news yesterday, too, with Lance Lynn dealing with those knee injuries and stuff like that. How much do you think that will set back the starting rotation? Or does it kind of actually, everything falls into place a little bit?
Yeah.
A lot of people were worried about Palante. I know that's something that will eventually have to be addressed. But for now, everything kind of falls into place for this team.
You go to July, you can make a case he was your best pitcher. So he does seem to be the logical choice to move to the bullpen when it's necessary, or they're forced into that situation. But Lynn is put on the IL, and it just makes sense that Palante stays in the rotation, and he's pitched so well. So I think it's maybe a benefit because Lynn is older, and so you miss a couple of starts. That helps him kind of regroup. And with what they did yesterday, they reset the rotation. Not a bad thing to happen where, you hope the knee injury isn't serious, don't get me wrong, but not a bad thing for him to skip a couple of starts in the final couple of months and get him as healthy as he can be down the stretch.
Yeah, by the way, 75 degrees at game time tonight with a 55% chance of rain. The temperature will maintain at about 75 throughout the course of the game, and the rain chance will drop, so it shouldn't be any trouble getting that one in. Olympic basketball, the USA took care of South Sudan 103-86. Everybody was playing well for the USA. Jason Tatum got into the action. Joel Embiid did not play, but Tatum got into the action, had 4 points, and had an opportunity to get up and down the floor. And this team is going to be led by the legends. It's going to be LeBron and Durant and Curry. I think that's pretty evident after the first 2 games. And did you guys see they play Purdue tomorrow? Saturday. They've got the schedule, and it's USA versus PUR.
They actually have an easier opponent than Purdue.
Oh, okay. Is that because he defected to Canada, apparently?
Yeah, they're playing Puerto Rico.
Oh, Yachty's
Or,
team?
excuse me, Puerto Rico.
Yachty's team.
That's right.
I think he's at the club level. I think the international level is baseball for Yachty
Okay.
right now. But
Well, I
just
was looking
someday,
forward to that.
someday I think he might become the first person to ever manage multiple Olympic teams.
Now, the line yesterday was 29.5 after South Sudan gave the Team USA a little scare in exhibition. I'm just curious, what would you have taken USA at 29.5 or not?
I would have taken South Sudan in 29.5.
That's a lot of points, man. 29.5. I think I would have gone South Sudan too. Just curious what you guys would have done.
For your friends.
Just curious.
For your friends,
Just seeing what you guys might have done.
By the way, a couple of texts. My wife has a CPAP machine and is able to sleep through the night, yet the health benefits aren't realized. That's very interesting. CPAP machine sucks. I couldn't get through it more than an hour. See, that's me. Thank you very much from the 314. Another one. I thought we had one more CPAP machine, but there were a bunch earlier. Yeah.
No, there's a lot, definitely.
So
Somebody said they started using nasal strips
I can't
instead of a
sleep without
CPAP,
using nasal strip,
and that's been helping them before.
I want to try those.
Yeah. I don't use my machine either. I have started using these Breathe Right strips. Thank you, Jerry Rice. And they help. Not the same, but it helps. Okay.
There's also apparently medication you can that you can take to help alleviate some of the symptoms of sleep apnea.
Really? Okay.
That's somebody texted in and said there's a medication now.
Okay. Here's one that I need to pay attention to. I have sleep apnea. I have to use a CPAP machine. When I'm using it, I don't always sleep the whole night through. There are times that I wake up and have to adjust the hose or whatever to make sure that the mask doesn't slip off my face. But I do sleep better than I do if I do not use the mask, because I travel sometimes with work. I don't take my CPAP machine with me when I go out of town. And when I go out of town, I don't have my machine. I sleep absolutely horrible and toss and turn. So now you know. Via radio.
We're getting a lot of texts about this CPAP thing, man.
I think that is the medical industry, to their credit. They find ways to make money, and they are finding a way to make money.
Just give it a chance, Randy.
I've
Come
given
on.
it multiple chances.
I'm with Brooke. I think you need to give it another chance. Remember we talked about it yesterday during the fight. You got to have conviction, Randall. You got to have some conviction with this.
Dedication.
Well, what am I going to do? Am I going to stop being a flopper on the bed? I roll. I roll from side to side. I can't stop doing that. I've done it my whole life.
Don't you, when you sleep on your side, don't you stop snoring, though?
I don't know.
If you're on your back, you snore?
I don't know. I'm sleeping.
You need to do one of those sleep studies. Have you done that before?
I have.
Did they film you?
Dr. Peruthi at St. Luke's said I had the worst sleep apnea she'd ever seen.
Oh my God.
Can I relay a serious story from last night? I'm being 100% serious.
Yes.
I had a dream that Randy had blackout rage. I'm being dead serious.
Okay.
And you took your sound machine and started slamming me with it. And that's a true story. If my kids were on my kids' heads, it's a true story. I don't know why. I have no idea. But you had blackout
pretty
rage.
heavy machine.
You were with two hands, man. You were pounding me with it.
I would have to unhook it first. So
well, yeah, it wasn't hooked up.
Yeah. So
Was this after a fight question, or did you accidentally give an answer away to somebody that caused the fighter to win over Randy?
I have no idea. He was just pissed off at me.
I can tell you, at my age,
It's a
that
true
level
story.
of blackout
I
rage,
love that.
it doesn't exist anymore. You don't have to worry about it. Maybe back in the day. But now that level, I don't have the energy to get that mad. I don't.
I really haven't seen you get all that mad on the air.
I choose happiness.
Do you?
I do.
It's just not that important.
No,
We're
it's
talking
not.
sports, man.
We are. Yeah. Cardinals lose a game. I know people get upset that we kind of chuckle when the Cardinals are having a bad year or a bad game. But you know what? It is at the end of the day. We're in the toy box of life. And what effect does it really have on us if the Cardinals lose a game?
Not me.
And there's a lot of games. So
Yeah,
if you have
that's
one bad
exactly.
game, a couple bad games locally, there's plenty more to go with it.
Yeah, Brooke, that being said, we both saw Jack Buck. He couldn't sleep the night after a bad loss.
Really?
Yeah, he was invested big time.
I mean, I'm invested, but I'm invested in the game. Like the whole game. I love watching baseball. I mean, I go back and I watch minor league games.
Yeah,
Just
right.
because I went over and watched a independent game the other day. I just love it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great. And you know what? I think you learn if you're around baseball players that once they're out of the ballpark, the game's out of their brain.
They You know,
They
I think
compartmentalize.
exactly. I think a lot of people now, if you lose like 10 in a row and there aren't guys that are putting effort in, then there's a real problem.
Yes.
You'll get some disturbances in the clubhouse. But if they're giving effort and guys know, to your point, Brooke, it's such a long season, they get on a plane and it's just like, okay, I'm going to have a little dinner, go back to my room or in the hotel and get some sleep and get ready for the next day. And that's how they are able to deal with this.
How do you think the White Sox are dealing with this?
Just thinking about them.
all
They
the
got to
stuff
be numb, right?
and all the stories that keep coming out
Yeah.
about, you know, you have the manager blaming the players blaming everything else, and leaks getting out. It just seems like such a mess over there.
The manager made them, I think, take infield, outfield the other day and run. And you don't hear about that
No.
in Major League Baseball. I could be wrong about that. I thought I read it because I try to read all the different things with
Yeah.
the teams. But he is so upset. He made him do infield, outfield, which I wish more teams would do, and then made him run. So he was pretty upset with the way things are going. And ultimately it falls on him. He's the manager, but it does fall on the players too. Players have to be good.
But you have to institute some rules. And Keenan Middleton last year when he went to the Yankees, and I know we're past the clock here, but Keenan Middleton said there were no rules. Not everybody, but players would show up late. You didn't have to do anything. There was really no structure to what they were doing.
So you're talking about accountability.
Yeah.
Got to have it.
And you need a manager. And especially when you go from Tony La Russa to no rules whatsoever.
Right.
That probably was a major difference. And people tried to, as Rick Smith, the former Rams PR director, used to say, try to steal a base.
Well, the other thing is, if you don't have accountability and you're not a presence, you'll get walked all over.
Mm-hmm.
With these guys, the money that they make, you'll get walked all. I mean, they'll sit there and say, what are you going to do? Get rid of me? I'm making $30 million this year.
I'll bet when Tommy Pham walked through the door, he was kind of their manager for a few weeks.
I would say that he probably tried to hold guys accountable.
Yeah.
I guarantee that he tried.
Yeah.
Coming up, we've got Sick of It. Get your text in, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Matthew's going to say, I'm sick of these guys just blowing up my clock on the first segment of the day. Sick of It next on 101 ESPN. for Sick of It here on 101 ESPN. And Brooke, we'll let you get things started today. What are you sick of?
Okay. Well, every single year, it seems like we go through this. And I understand that social media, you see the videos over and over again. I'm sick of people who really over-dramatize the fights at NFL training camps. Guys, it happens. It's guys who are trying to make either the roster. I know that there's still some cuts that have to be made. Things get chippy. It happens every single year. It's not a big deal. Even Aaron Rodgers just having a little bit, there was no shoving involved, but I don't know if you saw the video of Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson having kind of a tough conversation. You could tell it was a little heated. Somehow that turned into a big story. We go through this every single year. It's just NFL training camp. Of course, there's a lot of competition. These guys are tired of just facing each other, so things get chippy.
And it's hot, and you got alpha males, and you got some guys trying to make the team and maybe going out a little bit harder than the veterans do, and that gets them upset. Yeah, here's the thing, though. Do you turn your head away from these fights? No, I don't.
I don't. Well, there was a big kerfuffle, if you will, with the Titans training camp the other day. One of the radio hosts in Nashville, he called out Jeffrey Simmons. He kind of got into a little scuffle with another player on the team, so he called him out on it on social media and on the radio. Jeffrey Simmons found out about it, found that radio host who was kind of away from practice. They were live from there, and called him some names while he was live on air. So maybe the players do care about it a little bit, but, you know, it's training camp. It happens. Who cares? I mean, I do watch the videos, Dan, to your point. I watch it. I know. You kind of want to see, see that, though. Yep. But the people who think that, like, oh, this is a bad thing, this team is going to struggle this year because of the fights at training camp. No, it happens every single year. So that's what I'm sick of.
Going back to what you were talking about, Brooke, I'm sick of the White Sox losing. The most losses, think about this, most losses, first 110 games in the American League in the last 90 years. It's your White Sox with 83. They have the most through 110 games in the last 90 years. And why I'm sick of it is because if you're a fan of the White Sox, you know, they're clearly just tanking and getting rid of salary and getting rid of good players. And they're not going to be decent for a while. They're just not, because they don't go out and spend a ton of money. So I feel for the fans. I do. I as you always say, Randy, and I think you're right, you go to the ballpark or you buy a ticket or you watch the game or you listen to the game. It's hope.
Yeah, you're exactly.
It's
and
hope,
they have
and
none.
You have none. So I feel for the fans, and I'm sick of the losing for the poor old White Sox fans.
Especially since the team's trying to get a new stadium built.
That's the other thing.
That's what I don't understand is I get trying to rebuild. Maybe you're trying to take the Orioles approach of things, but it's just so disastrous right now that I don't understand what the good side of this is.
And in the rule, you can't draft, Matthew, I think you know this, you can't draft in the top 10 back-to-back years?
Yes.
Correct.
So
that is correct.
You get moved back to the 10th pick if you finish with the worst.
And here's the other thing, like the Royals and all the talk about the stadiums and what's going on there, at least they're putting their best foot forward. They signed Bobby Witt. They went out and got free agents. Now, this is a team that lost over 100 games last year, and I think they're 9 or 10 games above 500 and on their way potentially to the playoffs. So they turned it around very quickly, but at least they had a nucleus of players they could build around, and the White Sox really don't have that.
It's really bad. And you know what? They kind of did. If you have Crochet, Cease, Robert, Fetty, they had kind of a nucleus.
They did.
You could build on that.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Right.
But they got nobody right now.
It's really bad. It's really bad.
You can't forget Tim Anderson also falling off a cliff.
Yeah,
I mean, you think you think you have a 26-year-old star shortstop and he just completely plummets.
Yeah. And we love Tony, but they messed up by hiring Tony.
Yeah, he was outdated for that position.
Yeah, he was.
And the poor guy, he comes in at COVID too.
Right.
That was the tough part too.
Guys, we were talking about how we are basically in life's toy store with sports. We're in the sandbox. And I admit, you guys know, I'm shallow. I really don't care about an awful lot of serious stuff. So when you politicians, I'm talking to you, put your stupid ads on my good baseball game, it drives me nuts, and I'm sick of it. I don't want to be watching a baseball game and see one of these bozos shooting boxes or using flamethrowers. I don't want to see this stuff on my baseball game. I know.
It's hilarious.
That's the thing is, okay, are you really, are you wanting to torch people that cross the border? Is that, are we going back to that point in time? Come on. So just don't use your stupid political ads on my baseball game because it'll cost me to not vote for you.
Randy, it's all about the money. Especially
know.
with local television,
Well,
regional, everything like that. That is a huge moneymaker for TV.
I know. And we've got August, September, October left of this crap. And I've done it before and I'll do it again. You put a political ad on this show, and I'm going to rip you right after your ad.
And question it. Maybe even do some fact checking.
I got to question your motives here, Randy, on that one. They do spend money on the station.
They do.
But they're stupid.
I don't know if I'd say that either.
I know they got money. Yeah, no, they're stupid.
I'm on Dan's side on this one.
We need political ads.
But you can have political ads that are reasonable.
I don't think that's a thing anymore. I think it's people like the splash. You have to get people's attention so quickly now that you have to come out of the gate
So
swinging.
you know what they're showing up with AR-15s. They're saying to kids, go buy another AR-15.
Go buy another.
They're saying, you know what? An AR-15 will allow you to be a politician and be in charge of somebody.
I want to go back to the political ads on the radio. I think we need them because it just generates some money.
It does generate. It is a revenue generator.
So it pays for salary. So that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I just don't. I'm sick of them on my baseball game. That's all.
That's fair.
The governor of Texas a few years ago bought ads here to try to take jobs out of Missouri.
Missouri.
So I said, I started, and at that point, the Astros and the Rangers were bad, so I took my shots there. And you had to take my Cowboys shots, Now, how about them Cowboys? Yeah, they haven't been to an NFC Championship game since 1995.
This is just low-hanging fruit right there.
It is.
Sick of it. This could have been for my burner, but it wasn't. Sick of it. After taking lessons with my golf instructor, I can pipe my 7-iron 190 yards dead straight. And the second I go to play on the course, it's like I have never swung a club in my entire life.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's crazy.
It's kind of like those that are very good players. There's playing with all of us and kind of messing around, and they go out and shoot a 75 or, a 70 or, something really good. And then they play tournament golf. And things change a little bit.
Different animal, yep.
Tournament golf is a little different than that. And maybe that kind of is what this person is saying. You go on the range, you feel relaxed, and then all of a sudden you're playing with your buddies, and it didn't go that well.
As Randy was in the middle of his screed on political ads, one hit the YouTube stream.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not kidding you.
No
I can't see the ad.
That we have?
Yes, our YouTube stream, as you were in the middle of decrying
Where's it from?
I'm not sure. They're automatic, so different people's cookies are going to potentially get them a different ad.
Cookies?
Or I'm not sure if that'll change it. But all I know is you're not going to get the ad because you haven't been watching the stream for the last 32 minutes. People who have been watching the stream for the last 30 minutes are going to get an ad, and it was a political ad, and that's just. You can't time
Hey,
that
what
better.
is cookies on the internet? When it says, "Do you want to keep going?" You got to hit the cookies thing.
Because it's gonna track essentially parts of your data so that it can give you ads and pop-ups that are tailored to what you have been searching for.
Oh,
See, I always don't accept the cookies, so it's one of the few times that I would not accept a cookie.
Okay. You guys always get me technologically savvy, so I appreciate that.
Glad to do it.
Thank you.
What about with your kids? Do they help you with that?
No.
Really?
They think I'm just so outdated, they just give up. I say, what does this mean, or how do I do this, and they don't help.
You're really not that bad though, because it's
I'm awful.
My parents the other day, for example, they listen every single morning, so they're going to hear this. But this was a funny story. If you want to talk about not being tech savvy, they called me and they wanted to see photos, some of the newer photos from the wedding. And so I sent them to my mom's cell phone, and she was like, "Well, how can I see the photos if I'm on the phone with you?" And I said, "You just have to exit out," because she was like, "All I see is your name on the screen." When you call somebody, it says like Brooke on there or whatever. And she didn't know how to exit out, and my dad couldn't figure it out either. So I had to send the photos to my dad so I could be on the phone with him. Different generation, guys. They haven't had to use technology.
I apologize for the YouTube stream.
I showed Randy this morning. I got probably 20 texts from you guys on the text chain last night.
Whoopsies.
And I cannot reply.
What?
I've never seen it before. Maybe we'll never see it again. But I cannot reply to you guys. So I do, and I'm impressed with how many texts you guys send out at night.
Did you like our jokes?
I did. I was laughing. Absolutely.
Jeffrey Hubbs on the YouTube stream says, "I refuse to stream. I want to watch on my big TV. Well, you just go to YouTube on your big TV and go to 101 ESPN STL, and you can watch us on your 85-inch television.
Look,
We're
Randy's
watching on
looking at us on a big TV.
Yeah. So you can watch us on a big TV.
Sick of it. This heat. You guys may love it. I don't know. We haven't said that. But I'll take a nice
yeah,
crisp
I did,
fall
yeah.
Saturday afternoon every time.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't beat those. Football on, football outside, whatever. That's tough to beat.
It is.
Playoff baseball.
Yeah, that's another one.
I'd rather have I'll always take 100 degrees over zero. Every time.
Every time.
Yes.
100 with you 100%. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thanks very much for your text. By the way, condolences to our buddy Greg Amsinger and his family. His uncle Jim passed away here in St. Louis, and Greg is at the funeral today and will join us tomorrow. But to Greg Amsinger's Uncle Jim's family, we offer you our heartfelt condolences. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, some fans were worried about Tommy Pham's past history. No, boy, were they wrong. That's next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here. Is credit card debt creating a lot of stress in your life? You should go call my friends over at Golden Oak Lending. They can help with Smart Cash, which is low interest money. Let me tell you about a story that they shared with me recently. Amy just had her fourth child and they need to finish her basement in their house because obviously they need some more room. So she and her husband put most of it on their credit card, about $20,000. But they were still paying double-digit credit card interest. They did their best, paying $900 every single month, but it was just really overwhelming. Her dad suggested that she call Golden Oak Lending to see if her her home had increased in value. That way, she could use the extra equity to pay off credit cards. And sure enough, even though they had refinanced before, their home had increased in value. Golden Oak got them their $20,000 in cash. She paid off her credit cards, and Amy is just thrilled to not have that monthly payment hanging over her head. Many people just like Amy don't realize how easy it is to use their home's equity to get smart cash. If you need cash, go call my friends over at Golden Oak Lending. It's easy. They do all the work for you, and it won't cost you a penny out of pocket. Give them a call today at 314-567-GOLD now to get started, or go to goldenoaklending.com and see all of the reviews for yourself.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals yesterday beat up on the Rangers to take that series 2 games out of 3 with a 10-1 victory, thanks to the bottom of the lineup getting 8 of the RBI that they needed in that game. They will start a 4-game series tonight in Chicago, 7:05. First pitch, it'll be Sonny Gray facing off against the lefty for the Cubs, Shoto Imanaga. Imanaga on the season, 8-2 with a 2.95 ERA. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
For all of us that spent all those years with him, we understand what he's about. I mean, he's an uber competitive guy. He wants to win. And, you think about when you make trades, especially trades that are, viewed as sort of short-term help, Tommy's the ideal guy.
This dude is a winner. And that's just a plain and simple of it. He's a winner, and he is going to do what it takes to get himself ready to play. And if you don't play to that standard, he's going to let you know about it.
Tom Mozeliak yesterday here on the opening drive, and Adam Wainwright here on the opening drive, talking about Tommy Pham, the new addition who has certainly lived up to those words in his first 2 games as a member of the Cardinals, going 3 for 4 yesterday after opening up with a pinch grand slam in his first game back on Tuesday night, and the Cardinals 2-0 with Tommy Pham available to them, and they'll be in Chicago today. That's one thing, regardless of how Tommy Pham plays, and it's easier to be a leader if you do play and play well. But Tommy Pham is a guy that can walk into that clubhouse and has immediate cachet, having played in the World Series last year, having been a winner all of his career, and understanding the game. He's a guy that he pays attention to analytics. He's not owned by analytics, but he pays attention to not only how he's playing, but how other guys are playing, and is willing to hold others accountable. Waino told the story yesterday about how he got up in a game at Citi Field before a game and started pointing to everybody, saying, here's how you can do better. Here's how you can do better. You aren't performing, and all Waino and Yachty could do is shrug and say, yeah, he's right. For a team like this that is young and doesn't have, for as great as the careers of Arenado and Goldschmidt have been, they don't really have much winning experience. I think Tommy Pham is a huge benefit for this team.
You need a rusty nail on this team. We've talked about it before, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of Boy Scouts in this clubhouse right now, which is, of course, a great thing, but you need kind of that sandpaper guy in there. You need that kind of rough personality that isn't afraid to call people out, which we know. You heard that story from Adam Wainwright. Tommy Pham has the ability to do that. He's known for being very intense, obsessive, and I think misunderstood. So we always get texts. We got texts in when the move was made the other day. Oh, he's a cancer. He's been to so many different clubs. This is why he gets bounced around. He's cancerous. But here's the thing. Ollie Marmol even said it himself that players were asking for Tommy Pham by name to come over at the trade deadline. And even I found some quotes from Buck Showalter, who managed Tommy Pham, and he said before, people are so quick to brand guys like him who have an opinion. He's honest. Some people have trouble with that. Most of the time, the things he says, if you really think about them, he's right. If you can't handle the truth, you can't handle him. And I think that's the best way to describe Tommy Pham.
Man, what a great statement that is from Buck Showalter, and there's a lot of truth to what he said. You also said, Randy, the analytics part of Tommy Pham. He was at the forefront of this from the player's perspective, and very, very bright guy. He is very bright. I love what Mo had to say, uber competitive. And as you mentioned, Brooke, the players lobbied for it. So I'm not sure what the downside is from bringing him in. I know some fans, like you said, were like, well, he could be a cancer in the clubhouse. No, he's actually the opposite thing. He's somebody that you can lean on, and he's going to give you advice if there's a young player that has a question. But also, we talk about this a lot, holding players accountable when it comes from one of your own and not from the manager. That has a lasting impact on a player. That's a contemporary coming at you and saying, hey, you're not playing the game right, and this is how we play it. This is how I do it. This is the way we expect you to play. I'm all about that. I'm fine with that, and I think it's great.
And in addition to playing the game the right way, being able and willing, for example, to hit the ball to the right side to move a runner to third, he's got a very simplistic approach to numbers. It's the 3-4-5 approach. 300 batting average, 400 on base, 500 slug. That gets you a 900 OPS. And if you can do that, you're going to be a great offensive player.
The other part is to having credibility in a clubhouse is having been there, done it. So it's not like a young guy like he initially was. It's a little different now. He's 36 years old. And when you make the impact that he's made in 2 games, and he'll be in the lineup again tonight. He's got to be in the lineup, especially with a lefty on the mound. You know, that carries weight, man. When you're producing and you go and say to another player that you're not holding up your end of the bargain, that's a big deal. And so I love the move. I think fans that think he's a cancer, they're absolutely wrong. And this is the kind of guy that you want in the clubhouse for sure.
You want him in the clubhouse, and what he's able to do on the field, he can play all 3 outfield positions. He can smash the lefties, which is something this team needs. He's a right-handed bat, and that's something that this club is really looking for. And it seems like, too, the young players are so excited to have him. Goldie's excited to have him. Matt Carpenter, of course, is excited to have him. You can tell in the dugout how excited these players are to have Tommy Pham in there, and it has really re-energized this team. And I was even trying to search of, okay, maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe there was a story. I looked at this last night. Maybe there's some sort of story of where Tommy Pham was a cancer in the clubhouse, and I'm just missing this.
Sports Illustrated?
Is that what it was?
Go ahead. No,
I couldn't find anything other than The Athletic did an article talking about how Tommy Pham is perceived as a cancer in clubhouses, but that's just not the case. Of course, we all know the stories about him being stabbed multiple times. Tommy Pham will even tell you about that, but it's not something that happened within the clubhouse with a teammate.
Yeah.
And also the incident with Jacques Peterson, which once again, that was not something that happened within the clubhouse. That was more of like an outside of a clubhouse
if
incident.
If a commissioner is doing hinky things with fantasy football, he deserves to be punched.
Yeah. Are you thinking about last year? Was there ever a moment last year, Randy, where things got a little bit intense with fantasy football, where you could say, I can kind of see why Tommy Pham would?
No.
Or with BK?
No.
Okay, you're not going to go after BK or anybody else that was in the fantasy league.
No, I didn't think there was anything untoward being done in our league.
You know, there are some guys that lead by example and aren't vocal. And then there's other guys that lead by example and are vocal. And he is that guy. And that's okay. And I love the fact that Buck Showalter said he's brutally honest, and what he says is not necessarily off base.
Yeah.
That's a telling quote from a guy that's been around baseball forever.
By the way, one other note, isn't it interesting that we look at his numbers and he's crushing left-handed pitching, and we're all happy to bring him in here. And he's 36, and we're talking about how maybe age is caught up to Arenado and Goldschmidt. He's older than them.
Yeah.
It doesn't even seem like
Doesn't
it,
feel like it, does it?
No.
I go back to the story, too, that I relayed yesterday and thinking about, well, give me an example if he's a good teammate. He was 4 for 4 in a World Series game, had a chance to go 5 for 5, which had never been done before, went to the manager and said, give this guy an at-bat because he needs to have a playing experience in the World Series. That's a big deal. That's a good teammate.
It is. I think that says a lot more about who he is and kind of dispels all the cancers. It seems like he's more of like a chemo treatment in a clubhouse rather than cancerous in a clubhouse. I could not find anything where anybody has said that he is a cancer and really disrupts a clubhouse. As Showalter said, if you can't handle the truth, you can't handle him. And sometimes truth is something that you need. Brutally honest truth is something that you need in that clubhouse.
Yeah, and by the way, in his last 3 seasons, he has been traded to teams in the hunt at the trade deadline. Traded to Boston when they were 3 games behind on August 1st. Obviously, they fell off a little bit. And then last year traded by the Mets to the Diamondbacks, and they wound up going to the World Series. Now this year traded to the Cardinals at the deadline. So there's something to be said. And by the way, a couple of those trades to teams that Chaim Bloom is associated with. Yeah, but he's a guy that winning or teams that think they have a chance to win are going out and getting. Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. TIOLI next on 101 ESPN.
it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Dan, Randy, Matthew, it's the opening drive, 101 ESPN. Time for TIOLI guys this morning. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, according to Adam Schefter, have signed offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs to a 5-year contract worth $140.63 million. Makes him the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history and includes $88.24 million guaranteed. Take it or leave it. More NFL teams need to make offensive linemen very, very highly paid.
Ooh,
Trent Williams agrees.
Mm-hmm.
I might leave it just from the Titans fandom standpoint because we've been burned. Taylor Lewan, that did not work out too well.
We took a guy from you back in the day when we were the Rams. Remember Jacob Bell?
Oh, yeah.
Jacob Bell weighed like 320 when he was a member of the Titans, and then comes here and he weighs like 250.
Also, thanks for Drew Bennett.
Yeah. But no, it's having seen two really good teams in my hometown in my lifetime, the Cardinals of the 70s and the Rams of 1999 through 2003. The common denominator was great offensive line play.
100%.
Yes.
And
That's
so you go
the cornerstone of your offense.
And your defense, because the one group of people that can control a football game is the offensive line.
Yeah, and with the quarterbacks getting paid as much as they are now, you do need a great O-line. So I do understand that portion. I just... still pains me.
Little PTSD, huh? From the Titans? I got you.
Yeah. Remember when he showed up in that suit and with the cigar after signing that major extension? And he did fine, but then he dealt with injuries, and then that, thing happened where he took a banned substance. But it was supposedly from, I think it was like a pre-workout is what he said, that he didn't know. Something like that. But he's having a very successful podcasting career, which I enjoy his podcasts.
This is why the LA Chargers are going to be great, because they understand this aspect of the game. And with their offensive line of Rashawn Slater and Zion Johnson and Bradley Bozeman and Trey Pipkins and Joe Alt, their first rounder this year, they have a stud offensive line, and they're going to control football games, and they're going to be able to keep the ball away from a guy like Patrick Mahomes, which is a good thing to do.
All right, before I say this one, I do know who Aaron Judge is. I want to make that very clear, but take it or leave it.
You have no idea.
Yeah, you're right. Just a massive human being that bashes a lot of home runs. Anyways, I'm going to make this clear because what I'm about to say might be a little bit controversial, okay? Take it or leave it. Bobby Witt Jr. will win AL MVP this year.
Oh, this is a good one. I'm going to leave it, Brooke. But I think he hit almost 500 last month.
I know. That's
hit well above 400.
Yeah, 488.
It was incredible.
Like 488, 490. It's a really good call. And he might be
the best five-tool player.
Yeah, and might be the most valuable. If you apply the term valuable, if Judge goes down, definitely the Yankees are affected, but they still have Juan Soto. If Bobby Witt goes down, the Royales with cheese are basically what they were 5 years ago.
You could also make the case on the flip side, and I agree with what you're saying. You could make the case on the flip side saying Aaron Judge doesn't have a lot of protection around him. Now, Soto is the guy that does, but they could say, well, he carried the Yankees into postseason play, and the Yankees are not playing well.
No.
I mean, they're faltering a little bit. They got off to such a great start, but they have faltered, so that's something to keep in mind as they move forward.
And Judge, he's still, here we are on August 1st. By the way, happy August, everybody. Still has an outside chance to be a Triple Crown winner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Be tough to overlook that for your MVP.
I know. He has the status and he has the home run numbers. I completely understand that. But Bobby Witt Jr., that is a very special, talented player. I mean, a five-tool player truly, and he's just super talented. What he did in July was just insane.
He's hitting 349 on the year, which is way ahead of everybody else in the majors.
All right, Fangraphs came out with their projected 2024 wins as of today. The Cardinals are at 82. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals will finish with more than 82 wins this year.
Yeah, I'll
take that. Yeah.
Milwaukee, if you're wondering, at 88. They are tied with Atlanta and Milwaukee. And it's just a reminder, the last full 4 seasons, the NL Central champion has averaged 93 wins. Since the playoffs expanded to 3 wildcard teams, the NL's 6 wildcard qualifiers have averaged 89. But it's a bit misleading because the 22 Mets won 101 games, but last year Miami, Arizona only needed 84. So you probably need to get 84, 85 to make the playoffs, and right now they are projected by Fangraphs, and they're usually pretty much on at 82 wins.
Do you think, though, I wonder why they feel the need to make projections like this. So you go back to like the 2015 Giants, who had the best record in the league at the All-Star break and the worst record in the league after the All-Star break. Christian Yelich is out. I wonder why they feel the need to project how many wins a team is going to have.
Here's the other thing, too, taking into account what the Cardinals have done at the trade deadline. They have like the second best projection of those that they acquired to get to WAR. It's like over 6 WAR, which is second in the league. So that's something that they project too. I guess what they look at, Randy, would be the upcoming schedule. San Diego's playing great. You're going to see them. You don't have many off days, obviously, after what they did yesterday, making sure that they bank some time with their starting pitching. Maybe that's it. Maybe they look at the age of the rotation. I'm with you. It's just tough to do.
I would like them to say, here, they're going to get to 82 wins, and here's why. Because Sonny Gray is going to fade, or the center field situation, Michael Ciani, is going to get hurt. I want specific projections, and I want to know why a team is going to finish with 82 wins.
But I just gave you some.
I know you did, but I want them to tell me, like, when a guy is going to get hurt.
Oh, okay. August 17th, hammy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I want to know, Fangraphs.
Dan, that'll be really bad if that
Yeah, no kidding.
Take it or leave it. After the trade deadline, the Cardinals can steal a playoff series with the 1-2 of Sonny Gray and Eric Fetty.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, they could.
They could.
They could. Anything's possible.
Yeah. Once you get into postseason play, I know fans get sick of hearing it, but anything can happen.
We weren't really picking the Diamondbacks to go to the World Series last year, were we?
Nope. In 22, you're anticipating Quintana going out and dealing in that first game like he did.
Yeah, and I think I've said this several times. I sat in this chair the morning of Game 1 of that playoff, and I said the only team in the National League that can't make the playoffs this year is the Philadelphia Phillies, or can't make the World Series. Only team in the National League that can make the World Series is the Phillies. And they were the one team that did.
Yeah.
That was fascinating. Take it or leave it. I should prepare for disappointment. What do you want from me? Take it or leave it. I should prepare for disappointment for the Mizzou football season despite the amazing hype.
I'm going to take that. Yeah,
prepare for disappointment? You're going to take that?
Stop that.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Always prepare for disappointment.
No, leave it. Come on. This is an exciting time around Mizzou football.
I'm buying hope.
Think entirely positive.
I'm just buying hope. I'm with you guys.
And then put a fat bet on the under of 9.5 wins so that if they do fail you at least get to go out to a nice dinner afterwards.
Oh, there you go.
And if they don't, would you want to pay a few $100s for Mizzou to have a 10-win season and be in the college football playoff? Because I would.
So you're in a no-lose situation there.
It's called emotional risk management. Some people don't like betting against their team. I personally like to have something that doesn't make me want to jump out the window after they lose game number 3.
So what's more important to you? And by the way, they could lose.
Them making the college football playoff. I pay hundreds of dollars for it. In a heartbeat.
You would rather have them win than win the money.
Absolutely. Okay. If I put down a $250 bet, I'm hoping I lose that money.
Okay.
On the under. Hoping I lose that money. Because if they win 10 games, they're probably in the college football playoff.
Wow. Did you guys know that ESPN Plus is now $10.99 a month? I know I'm paying it. I just didn't know it was that much. Did you guys know it's that much?
What was it prior? Was it $9?
I think when I started, it was like $5.99 or something.
No.
Yeah.
I thought it was $9. Well, now I have to double check mine.
When I started way back when it started.
Oh.
Do you watch a lot of shows, guys, off of ESPN Plus?
I watch a lot of games, but
most of the stuff insider stuff.
Most of my favorite stuff I read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From ESPN.
Where you have to unlock that, where it's a really good story.
Yeah.
I like that
really
too.
Good stories.
Yeah, they have Buster Olney stuff, like his Notebook.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Love it.
Really good.
So wait. Okay, you guys think they're going to lose game 3? I'll get out of this in a second.
Who is game 3?
It's Boston College.
Could happen. Is that BC, right?
No.
Oh, that's a home game? Okay, they'll win.
BC played in the Pinstripe Bowl last year. I would hope that would be a team that could win.
They're actually kind of legit.
It's UMass that you were thinking. They're at UMass.
BC's legit. Yeah. The incredible home versus UMass.
And that's the one that you want to see. Yeah,
Jeff
Cupcake City,
defensive coordinator of the Packers now.
Yep.
Come on, guys. Let's not be down on Mizzou football.
ESPN Plus has Mizzou at number 8 in terms of the chances to be in the 12-team playoff. 8 out of their 30 teams that have a chance, they've got Mizzou at number 8. So M-I-Z. C-O-U.
That's
Thank-
Matthew. He went
You
to.
were supposed to do that.
I'm
Matthew.
prioritizing other things.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We just keep messing with his breaks today.
We do.
And he doesn't like it.
Coming up here on 101 ESPN.
Yeah, freewheeling,
Yep.
man. Just let it rip.
Can the
How about no
newcomer
breaks?
and oldcomer, Tommy Pham, along with Wilson Contreras, offset the lack of expected right-handed hitting the Cardinals are not getting? That's next on 101 ESPN.
Boy, it was great to have Stewie in studio yesterday from Stewart's American Mortgage, and we talked about everything that's happening in this business. If you're someone who is looking to purchase a home, refi, or if you're looking to consolidate some of that ugly credit card debt, and maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go to in any of these things, let's make it easy for you. Call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. One of the things, Stewie, that we talked about, there's young people that get out of college, they're just starting their adult life. How do we help them out?
You know what, Dan? It's a great opportunity to build wealth. When you're young, you don't have a family yet, maybe you're not married yet, you have the flexibility to move from one place to another. Right now, you can buy a 4-family unit with 5% down. That money can be gifted. You can have money in the savings account, 5%. You can get the bagel loan with no closing costs. You buy that investment property. A year later, you buy another investment property. You move into it. You move into the next one. We had a customer 5 years ago started doing this. Now he has 4 rental properties, just got married. Wife says, I'm not living there anymore. I want a house. He moved away from the house, but he's sitting back and relaxing because now he's got all this cash flow. Don't take advantage right now. Start building wealth now. You can do it at an early age. It's easier, it's quicker, and you set yourself up for financial success.
Boy, that's amazing. If it's a new home you're looking to purchase as well, he'll get you to the closing table fast. That's Stewie. Try 10 days. Best interest rate possible. Also has the bagel loan, as he mentioned. That can help you out, too. So you may ask yourself, what's the bagel loan? If you borrow $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, no closing costs. Stewie, he is your guy. Makes it easy. So any questions on what he just said, or maybe the rates, the industry, the trends, give him a call. His personal cell phone is 314-324-4440. He'll answer right now. 314-324-4440. Or, Stewie, what can we do?
Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
.10 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Cards and Cubs tonight, and that is a 7 o'clock game that you will see on Bally, and I believe it's on MLB Network. If you're not in the St. Louis metro area, you might have an opportunity to get it. The Cardinals will go in with a couple of right-handed hitters that are doing pretty well OPS-wise. Wilson Contreras leads the club with an overall 890 OPS, and Contreras this year, guys, has killed left-handed pitching, which the Cardinals have needed desperately with the fall-off of Arenado and Goldschmidt. So far this season, against lefty pitching, Contreras has an OPS of 1.033. And we know that Pham has that OPS coming here of 848 and even better now. Do you think that Tommy Pham being added to Wilson Contreras as right-handed hitters is enough to offset the lack of production from right-handed hitters Arenado and Goldschmidt? Are the Cardinals all of a sudden a real threat against lefties, I guess is my question.
I think it definitely helps. It's something that you needed, and so far so good for what he's been able to do with this team and help this team with back-to-back wins. I guess time will tell, but at the same time with Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, what do you guys need to see from them moving forward? Because they have kind of little mini stretches where they do well, but still the power is lacking from them. And that's not something that Tommy Pham can do. It's something that is within both of them. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt was an NL MVP not too long ago. Nolan Arenado is a multiple-time All-Star, Gold Glove winner. What do you need to see more from them down the stretch?
Production. That's simply just production, and I don't think you can live on the two of Pham and Contreras. I don't. I think you need to have one, if not both, step up, and if they do, then they're going to have success. If they don't, then it's going to be, like Fangraph said, probably an 82-win season, or at least around there. You need those guys. It's still, you can't overlook, even though you've had recent success, clearly, in the last 2 days with Pham, and sustained success from Contreras, but you can't rely on that the whole season. To your point, Randy, or the question that you asked, I think you got to have one, if not both, those guys step up. And you're right, Brooke. I mean, we've seen little spurts of where you think, okay, here they go, and then it tails off. There's just got to be consistency with those guys, and we just haven't seen that.
And it's almost unbelievable that against lefties, Arenado has a 664 OPS, Goldschmidt 762. And I don't think, especially with this ballpark, home runs are a necessity. Just hit the ball hard and get some extra base hits. If Arenado and Goldie can just start delivering extra base hits, I'll be a happy camper. I'll be happier if they hit home runs. But I think we also have to take into account how hard it is to hit home runs at Busch Stadium. It's one of the 2 or 3 hardest ballparks to hit home runs in. But those guys, 664 OPS for our lefties. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But, that we've been saying it, though, from day one, is that your offense coming into the season, for the most part, was relying upon the 2 big guys. Now they've been lucky in the fact that others have emerged, and you were also counting on Walker from the right side. But they've had others emerge, like Burleson, and Donovan has been consistent, and Mason Wynn at the top of the lineup. You probably weren't anticipating that going into the season. I don't know if you guys did, but I thought Wynn would be at the bottom of the order and let him ease into the major leagues. But he forced the issue, and with a lack of production at times from the top, he has to go to the top. But you need the big guys to be the big guys, and if they're not, then you're going to have tight games. I think it's one of the reasons they've had so many tight games, too.
Yes.
These guys aren't hitting a bunch of, 3-run homers and 2-run shots and those kind of things. And I think that's a part of why they play very tight games. There's a very, very small margin for error with this team, and you need those 2 guys to come up big.
By the way, Jordan Walker hit a home run last night, went 2 for 5, batting average up to 243, OPS sneaking up on 700 at AAA for Jordan Walker.
Yeah, that's good for Jordan Walker at this point, because eventually you do need him. I think that's very important to note here, but at this point in time, you have Tommy Pham here, and you need Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt to at least provide some more power than what we've seen. If you would have told anybody, any of us, at the beginning of the year that Goldy and Arenado still would kind of had the drop-off that we saw towards the end of last season, it would carry over to this season for this long of a stretch, I would have said, well, this season's a wash. But the fact that you've had so many of those younger players really step up and help this offense, I think says a lot about this young group that is really early coming up here. Is there anything that you guys have noticed at the plate, maybe approach-wise or even, swing-wise with Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado? Is there something different there this season?
I think Goldie takes a lot of pitches early in counts, and he finds himself in non-hitters counts. He's 0-1. He's 1-2. He's swinging through a lot of fastballs. That's one of the things I see with him. And going back to Jordan Walker, unless he goes just on an unbelievable tear, and even if he does, I'm not so sure that he makes it back to the big leagues this year, just because, what if he comes up and doesn't have success, and then mentally you don't feel good about it? I think the way that they do it this season is let him ride it out in the minor leagues, have a good season, finish up with a flourish, and then go into next year with a fresh start. I really believe that'll probably be the case. And when you've added Pham and you have the emergence of Michael Ciani, Ciani's hitting .333 since July 5th, and at least one hit in his last 10 of 11 starts. I don't know where the position that you put him in at this point. As much as you'd love to bring him up and have him help you out against left-handed pitching or be a presence from the right side of the plate, I don't know where he fits in at this point. So let him kind of just settle in at the AAA level. He's only 22, and I think it'd be tough to bring him up at this point.
I agree with you 100%. I don't think that the pressure is necessary, and the reason that you got Tommy Pham is because Jordan Walker didn't work out for you this year. That's why Pham is here, and you have enough with Burleson. He's going to be your right fielder, and either Pham or Newt Barr in left and Ciani in center. So that's going to be your group. There really is not a spot for Jordan Walker right now.
And that's where I'm going.
Yeah. Now, here's what I want, and here's what I'm hoping for. And we talked earlier about Cesar Cedeno, who hit .434 for the Cardinals after coming over at the deadline, the August deadline in 1985. Had a 1.213 OPS. Wow. He was unbelievable. In 82 plate appearances, 6 homers, 19 RBIs. If I can get that out of Tommy Pham the rest of the way, then I do think that it kind of offsets with the success Contreras has had against left-handed pitching. If you could get that out of Tommy Pham, which I don't think is unreasonable, I think that you could really get something. Tommy could get that hot for 2 months.
Could you imagine if he does, and how it changes the complexion of this lineup?
Cedeno had 11 extra base hits, 6 homers, 4 doubles, and a triple. And he slugged .750. I could see Tommy Pham doing that against left-handed pitching for 2 months.
Especially a re-energized team right now. You bring that commitment and bring him in. He's excited. The other players are excited too. I don't think it's that crazy of an idea.
And the other thing is, you'd be playing him every day.
Yeah.
So he'd be playing against righties and lefties.
If he's that hot.
Yeah. I mean, he's in my lineup every night.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how hot he gets, and we know that the manager loves him. They were actually in the minors together.
Batavia.
Yeah.
They were teammates.
Yeah.
So they know each other quite well.
Yeah. So it'll be fun to, at the very least, it'll be fun to watch him play. That's today's Fresh Take here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, the first NFL preseason game of 2024 is tonight here on 101 ESPN. Bears and Texans, the Hall of Fame game, the pregame at 7 o'clock. What are the storylines, and who are we most looking forward to seeing in 2024 in the NFL? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you want an amazing lunch today, head on over to the Fenton Barn Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. It's just a couple of minutes away from the soccer park, and they have exceptional wings. As a matter of fact, the best trash wings you'll ever have exist at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Have some of their signature golden sauce or their ranch, and you'll have an outstanding and superb start to your meal because it's the best app that you'll ever have. But they have magnificent salads, and this is a great time of year with the heat that we have to have a great salad at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Wonderful wraps, and if you're in the mood for a marvelous burger, head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill. They have great lunch. The happy hour is fantastic. 6 different appetizers for $6 a piece, and they're delicious. And, of course, if you want a stupendous dinner, head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill. They have specials every day, and their servers are special. Go by and say hi to Kelly and Megan and Colleen, the whole gang over there, of course, Casey. And when you go, tell them Randy sent you. You'll have great food, great service, all the sports that you can handle, and a great clientele. It's the dive with a vibe. The Fenton Bar and Grill, tell them Randy sent you. Brooke, Dan, Randy, the first NFL preseason game tonight. Bears and Texans, 7 o'clock pregame here on 101 ESPN. Guys, there's a lot to look forward to in every NFL season. And, of course, you've got the potential of a dynasty. I guess you could already call the Chiefs a dynasty with the success that they've enjoyed in the last 4 years. You know what I'm looking forward to is to find out what Jordan Love really is. His last 10 games with the Packers last year, he had a passer rating of 112.1, 2,616 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And in those games, the Packers wound up going 7-3. So I want to see what Jordan Love really is. Let's see, 7-3, including undefeated in his last 3. I'm really intrigued to see what Jordan Love advances to, especially now that he's one of the highest paid players, well, the highest paid in the NFL.
That's what I was going to say is Jordan Love with the contract, do you see any differences there? It was so impressive what he was able to do last year. I know that we've discussed this, but it was really towards the end of that stretch where we saw his capabilities and what he's able to do. He's waited 3 years for that moment, that opportunity. The Packers always find a way to figure it out with their quarterbacks. So I want to see if Jordan Love can be the next in that great lineage of quarterbacks that they always find and they always develop and stick around for a while.
So the Chicago Bears are a 1.5-point favorite tonight in preseason football. I'm interested in that.
Oh, sure.
Is that my initial interest? Mm-hmm. I want to see Caleb Williams. I want to see him play tonight. I wonder how much he does play in the preseason game, but then watching him develop throughout the season. And I'll stick with the quarterback theme. I'm looking forward to Aaron Rodgers. I think a lot of people are interested in what he does with the Jets at his age, coming back off the Achilles situation. The other part I'm looking forward to is Jim Harbaugh. and what he does with the Chargers, and just kind of injecting his persona into that organization and what happens there. To your point, Randy, I'm looking forward to Jordan Love, but I'm also looking forward to Tua and Trevor Lawrence, these guys that got the big deals, how they respond to that, how they play. It just generates interest for me. I don't know why, but I want to see the big paid guys see if they play big, too.
Of course, for me personally, I'm always excited to see my Tennessee Titans and what they'll be able to do. New era over in Tennessee, the Bill Callahan era and what he's able to do there. And you have the Callahan-father situationship there with the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis, will he be able to really grow as a quarterback? But the storyline that I'm actually looking at, and you mentioned Caleb Williams, I think it's an overblown storyline of Caleb Williams. It feels like needing to be an immediate success for people to really justify the Bears landing him. Of course, the Bears were going to take him because he's talented, but there's all this pressure going in of, is he going to be this generational talent? Here's the thing. I feel like the expectations in year one are always too high for these quarterbacks. And this one feels just particularly high to me because he's kind of, I feel like, to some people, a polarizing character just because, the painted nails, everything that happened in his final year there. And it doesn't maybe feel like Andrew Luck rookie level hype here, but I think the expectations are higher for Williams in year one than they were for Trevor Lawrence a few years ago. Wouldn't you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Being the number one overall picks, yeah.
And this is why I don't think that the storyline really matters that much and why it's so overblown. The past 7 quarterbacks drafted at number 1 overall dating back to Jameis Winston in 2015 have produced an average year one season of roughly 14 starts, 16 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions, and about a little over 3,000 passing yards. Pretty tame numbers collectively, even with a few positive outliers. And you mentioned Jordan Love. I think that that's actually a better comp of what maybe Bears fans can expect for Caleb Williams going the season, where it won't get off to a hot start, but maybe you hope as he progresses through the season, he grows into something, at least a good player.
I'm old, so I've had an opportunity to see the Bears be good. And when the Bears have been good, they've had a good running game in November and December. Caleb Williams can be awesome. DJ Moore and Robodunze and Keenan Allen can be awesome. But it's going to be 0 degrees in December in Chicago. And when the Bears are good, they play defense and they run the ball. I know that's counterintuitive in today's NFL, but the fact of the matter is, with the wind blowing off of Lake Michigan and as cold as it is, they need to be able to run the ball. That's the franchise that should have done everything they possibly could to get Jim Harbaugh, because Jim Harbaugh plays Bears football. I don't know that Matt Eberflus and his new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, I don't know if they know how to play Bears football. Their personnel, their offensive line, and their running backs would lead me to believe that they have no clue about how to go about winning in December in Chicago.
And that would be my concern with Tua in Miami. Just trying to go on the road, play, and say you got to go to Buffalo.
Yep.
You say,
Cincinnati.
Or you go on the road in Kansas City for a playoff game. And trying to make that adjustment, it's a real thing. Yeah. It is a real thing. I think one of the things, too, that QBs, and you were going down that list, Brooke, I think the outlier in this whole deal is C.J. Stroud. And you look at what he did in his rookie campaign, and I don't know, I would imagine there's some around football thinking, well, this guy can do it too. It has been done. Now, he's an outlier for sure, but I wonder if that's in the back of their minds too. You ease him in, can he be like C.J. Stroud?
Yeah, right. C.J. Stroud, and he'll play tonight, I think. He's a stud.
We're getting some text saying that Williams is not going to play and none of the starters are going to play for the Bears.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
That's the preseason. The NFL doesn't care about the preseason. They just care about the money.
I thought they'd give him at least a series.
And the Hall of Fame game nationally televised?
Yeah.
First, a rookie, yeah.
I'm just excited it's back. Also, can I correct myself real quick? I keep doing this just because Bill Callahan's been around for so long. It's Brian, obviously his son, who is the head coach of the Titans. Yeah. I just always say Bill because he's been around so long, but he is, if you didn't see, the O-line coach for the Titans.
That's the thing, Brooke. The difference in that team is going to be more than the presence of Brian Callahan, the presence of Bill Callahan.
The fact that he was able to bring his father over is huge because one of the biggest things last year, even with Tannehill and with Will Levis, is you have to keep your quarterback upright. We just talked about how important O-lines are in this league, and I'm with you guys 100%. The Titans' offensive linemen did a terrible job of that last year, so they were able to fix it a little bit. Hopefully getting Callahan in there can help.
2 Callahans. Now they need Harry Callahan. So do you feel lucky, punk? Well, do you? So they need that sort of toughness.
Somebody said the
Tennessee.
4 Titans fans must have been real cranky. Hey, hey, come on. It's been a while since the Titans had something good to talk about. Let me just enjoy my moment there a little bit.
Will Levis.
Yeah, the Will Levis era is here. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens with Caleb Williams. To your point, C.J. Stroud, last year was incredible with what he was able to do with the Texans. Don't you think that's every team's NFL dream when you draft a player that they're able to produce like that right out of the gate?
Oh, for sure. And I think it's a product of the system that he played in Ohio State. I mean, I think that's something that when listening to those that really know the game, they felt like he could just come into a situation with Houston, and it wasn't that much of a the learning curve was not as big, put it that way, and he was able to make the adjustment fairly quickly. And I would imagine Caleb Williams would be probably able to do that as well and go ahead and hit your sound machine.
Well, Brian Callahan is
Here we
going
go.
to he's going to spend a week getting ready for C.J. Stroud, and C.J. Stroud is saying, "Hey, we'll have no problem beating the Tennessee Titans," and Callahan will say. And that'll be it. Callahan he'll be a tough guy.
It's that flies over some folks' heads.
I know, but not mine.
The younger generation would not know that.
So there's a movie called Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood was the best.
Yep. Harry Callahan was the character.
Yep.
And so Brian Callahan can be Harry Callahan, and he can say, which Harry Callahan did. Bob Ramsey's listening, and he'll appreciate it.
No, of
Clint
course.
Eastwood is 94 years old.
Wow.
He's still producing movies.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's still doing it.
That?
94.
He's got. I don't know if he still has the restaurant in California.
Not sure.
Carmel by the Sea?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love Carmel, California.
It's great.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Matthew, do you need a fighter today? Damn it.
Watch your language, Randall.
He said he doesn't need a fighter, Dan.
I understand that. We're doing
a loser.
We're doing conviction today, right?
We're good. First thing, yeah. First things first.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. The fight is next on 101 ESPN. Together Credit Union has a great deal for you. If your home needs repairs, maybe an update or a remodel, and you don't want to pile on debt, well, Together Credit Union's interest-only home equity line of credit is available to help you out. With Together Credit Union's interest-only home equity line of credit, you borrow up to 90% of the current equity in your home and pay interest-only monthly payments for the first 10 years, plus no annual fees or prepayment penalties. Together Credit Union's interest-only home equity line of credit offers flexible borrowing, which means you can borrow as much as or as little as you need to make your house a home. And you pay your balance at any time during the draw period and then borrow it again, which puts you in control of your finances. To learn more about Together Credit Union's interest-only home equity line of credit, stop by one of their branches or visit togethercu.org. And by the way, if you start up a checking account at Together Credit Union, make sure that you sign up for Together Credit Union's St. Louis City SC debit card, which is amazing. Together Credit Union, federally insured by the NCUA.
This is Rockio with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals yesterday wrap up their series with a win against the Rangers, a 10-1 victory, and they will start a 3-game series against the Chicago Cubs tonight. In Chicago, 7:05 first pitch, and it'll be Sonny Gray facing off against the lefty for the Cubs, Shoto Imanaga. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, Randy, and Rockio here, and it is time for the fight. And we have a returning fighter, Jay. Jay, welcome back.
Welcome, guys.
Are you excited after yesterday's victory?
I'm excited. I'm fired up. Hey, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Rob Tejada. It's his birthday.
Oh,
and
happy
also,
birthday.
And also to my buddy, what used to be my neighbor, Keith Krause. He moved over to High Texas. I chased him. You guys know Keith over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Let's do it.
All right, Jay is ready to go. All right, question number 1, Jay. Joe Torre took over for the Cardinals on August 1st of 1990, going on to manage them for the next 4+ seasons. Which National League club was the first team that Torre managed? Was it the Mets, the Braves, or the Dodgers?
Okay. I know it. Yeah. I'll say it was the Braves.
Final answer, Jay?
Well, I know he's with both of those guys. Yeah. Yeah, I'll stick with that.
Okay, on this day in 1977, the National League record for career Grand Slams was set at 18 and is yet to be broken. Who holds that record? Is it Mike Schmidt, Steve Garvey, or Willie McCovey?
Schmidt, Garvey. I know A-Rod's got a ton, but this is National League only. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'll go with Willie McCovey.
On to question 3.
August 1st is a good day for history in baseball. In 1985, Vince Coleman stole 2 bases to set the rookie record of 74. Which National League Central team did he do it against? Was it the Pirates, the Cubs, or the Reds?
I have to guess, totally. I don't think he did it against the Cubs. I'll say it's the Reds.
All right, is that your final answer, Jay?
I'll go with that, yeah.
Question 4. There are 14 players in NFL history to catch 1,000 passes in their career. Who has the lowest TD count from that list with 70 career touchdowns? Is it Andre Johnson, Steve Smith Jr., or Hines Ward?
Andre Johnson's too tall. He caught to me. Steve Smith or Hines Ward? I'll say it was Steve Smith. He's a short little 5'9" guy. It might have been him.
All right, let me go grab Randall.
Okay.
How are you feeling, Jay?
I don't know. Not as good as yesterday.
No? Not as confident? Was there a couple here that kind of stumped you a little bit?
Yeah, I was waiting for your golf question. You didn't give me one. I'm not.
Yeah, you did say that. Yeah. Here comes Randy in right now. No grapes today. Shocking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You demolished them.
Yeah.
Just kidding. All right. Randy, say hi to Jay again.
Jay, good morning. Welcome back. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, Randy. Good luck.
Thank you. Same to you.
Ready for question number 1? You guys are both just ready to dive right into the questions today.
Let's do it.
Okay. Joe Torre took over for the Cardinals on August 1st of 1990, going on to manage them for the next 4+ seasons. Which National League club was the first team that Torre managed?
He was a player manager, Brooke, for the New York Mets. He was very successful with the Braves after that. Then he comes to the Cardinals after 5 years off. I actually, when Whitey Herzog he resigned, I called Joe Torre immediately. He was broadcasting for the Angels. And he said, I'm not going to say that I'm interested, but you just tell your listeners that a source very close to Joe Torre says he'd be interested in the job.
It's kind of how it works out, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think he'd already been called by Dal Maxwell. They were buddies. And I think that the die had already been cast when Torre took the job here. And then he had a 50th birthday party. The reason that he didn't take the job earlier here in St. Louis and start earlier is because he had a 50th birthday party scheduled in Vegas and didn't want to mess that up.
And that's how agents work it now.
Yeah, right.
The coach, the manager says, I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm happy. But then the agent behind the scenes floats it. Yeah, my guy's interested.
Yeah,
we
right.
want it to happen.
Yep.
All right, in this day in 1977, the National League record for career Grand Slams was set at 18 and is yet to be broken. Who owns that record?
National League record for Grand Slam set in 1977. This is by one person that hit this many Grand Slams, huh?
Yes, sir.
So I'm thinking it was a veteran player at that point. This feels Willie McCovey-esque. Might have been with the Padres at that point. Probably not a Doyer because they didn't have many hitters. Cards cover. Hank Aaron was in the American League by then. So I think I will go with Willie McCovey.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Conviction. I like
There
it.
you go. Thank you, Dan.
All right.
Question 3, please.
August 1st is a good day for history in baseball. In 1985, Vince Coleman stole 2 bases to set the rookie record of 74. Which National League Central team did he do it against?
The old double steal against the Cubs. He stole third and home. Willie McGee stole second and third. One of the my favorite play from 1985.
It's a pretty good one.
And one of the all-time greats ever, yeah.
Yep, that was fun. All
Like a
right.
circus down there.
There are 14 players in NFL history to catch 1,000 passes in their career. Who has the lowest TD count from that list with 70 career touchdowns?
70 career touchdowns and 1,000 grabs. I have an idea, Daniel, but I'm going to use the lifeline.
Andre Johnson, Steve Smith, Hines Ward.
Okay, it's not who I thought it was.
Who did you think?
I was thinking it was Torrey. Okay, so Steve Smith scored one against us. But that was a playoff one. Hines Ward. Yeah. I think Andre Johnson had more. I thought he was like in the 90s or something. So I'm going to go with Smith, Steve Smith, or Hines Ward.
You can only choose one.
I know.
That's the rules of the game, Randall.
So I will go with Hines Ward.
Final answer.
Yes, sir.
All right. Matthew, do your thing, please.
We have a winner in today's fight. No tiebreaker needed today. Is it Jay forcing a Hall of Fame opportunity on a Friday? Or does Randy Carricker knock him out here in round 2? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis. With the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
I'm sorry, Jay. Randy Carricker took you down 3-1 in today's fight.
Okay, guys. Thanks anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
No problem, Jay. Let's go to the questions and answers. Joe Torre took over the Cardinals on August 1st of 1990, going on to manage them for the next 4+ seasons. It was the Mets. Like Randy said, he was a player manager for the Mets as he finished out his playing career and started his managing career. He would then take over the Braves, Cardinals, and then obviously the Yankees and Dodgers. On this day in 1977, the National League record for career Grand Slams was set at 18 and shockingly has yet to be broken. It was, in fact, Willie McCovey in his first year back in San Francisco in 1977. Despite being 38 years old, he would finish in the top 20 in MVP voting for the Giants that year.
Did you see the home run that he hit at Busch Stadium?
I did not, no.
Okay, 1966, and they say it went 515 feet.
Through the portal in the upper deck, yeah.
And it was over the scoreboard, I believe.
Yep.
I remember I was talking with Mike Shannon. I asked him about that, and he had a good look at it. And he said he went to McCovey, and he said, "Is that the longest home run you hit?" He said, maybe not the longest, but the hardest ball I ever hit."
Sorry, when you say the portal, you mean one of the archways in the nosebleeds?
No, to go out into the concourse. So,
yeah, one of the walkways there.
Through the doorway that you walked in the upper deck.
Gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
That's
515.
Yeah.
That's insane. So 18 has yet to be broken in the National League. Of course, as Jay did say, Alex Rodriguez does own the all-time Major League Baseball record with over 20. August 1st, good day for baseball history. In 1985, they went for the double steal. Vince Coleman was able to swipe 2 bags in that play again. Willie McGee, the other man in that play. That got him to 74, was the rookie record, and it was against the Chicago Cubs. They would go on to lose that game late, though, 9-8 to the Chicago Cubs. And there are 14 players in NFL history to catch 1,000 passes in their career. Torrey Holt is not one of them. He finished with 920 catches, but he actually finished with 74 TD catches, more than the lowest for a 1,000 catch receiver, and that is Andre Johnson, who never had double-digit scores in his career. In fact, these are the touchdowns counts for Andre Johnson in his career: 4, 6, 2, 5, 8, 8, 9, 8, 2, 4, 5, 3, 4, 2. Andre Johnson over 1,000 catches, but just 70 touchdowns. By the way, Hines Ward has 85, and Steve Smith finished with 81 in his career. So a 3-1 win for Randy Carricker in the fight today. Thank you again, Jay, for joining the fight and joining the show.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
And John McClain of the Houston Chronicle doing a great job of forcing Andre Johnson into the Hall of Fame.
Come on, Randy.
What?
I think it might be. I think it's going to be the second lowest touchdown count for a wide receiver that's gone in since 1985.
In what world was Andre Johnson better than Torrey Holt in his career?
Yeah, and I think the only wide receiver lower than Andre Johnson is I think it's Michael Irvin, but again, Super Bowl rings, winning, shortened career, all that kind of stuff.
Makes a difference. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, how do the Cardinals avoid happening with Jordan Walker what happened to Dylan Carlson? That's next on 101 ESPN. I want to talk to you about my friends at Hoffman Brothers. Have you had your maintenance done this season on your air conditioner? It's just like getting the oil changed on your car. By doing the maintenance on your outdoor air conditioner, it can save you costly repairs and allows your system to run more efficiently. The Hoffman Brothers Home Protection Plan includes 2 seasonal maintenances for your heating and cooling systems, plus free filters. If you sign up today, it can provide peace of mind knowing that you are covered. Don't forget to change your air filter. When you have a dirty filter, it can impede your airflow, causing your HVAC equipment to work harder to maintain the desired temperature, which in turn can cause other issues and repairs needed. Remember to change your 1-inch air filter every other month and your larger media filters, 4 to 5-inch ones, twice a year. You can schedule your maintenance directly at HoffmanBros.com or call 314-664-3011, 314-664-3011. Call or text to get your air conditioner taken care of. With the hot weather still here in St. Louis and will be for another month, it's imperative to have your air conditioner working well, and you can get it working at its best with Hoffman Brothers.
He is a talented baseball player, but just to take this year, and because careers sometimes are in a vacuum, right? And in his particular case, had a very good spring, competed well. We had a lot of confidence that he could play on our club, whether it was in right field or center field. Unfortunately, got injured the second to last exhibition game in Arizona, and never then caught his footing.
That's John Mozeliak with us yesterday here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. And interestingly, back around Christmas of 2019, Mo had compared Dylan Carlson to previous Cardinal prospects, Oscar Taveras, who still is regarded as one of the best the Cardinals have ever had, and Albert Pujols, who was the best prospect the Cardinals have ever had. Well, since then, Mo has compared Jordan Walker to Oscar Taveras and to Albert Pujols. And so the question becomes, how can the Cardinals avoid what happened to Dylan Carlson happening with Jordan Walker? Obviously, injuries played a huge role in the demise of Dylan Carlson's Cardinal career, but there are other parts of it. And Mo talked the other day about Jordan Walker and how his future will unfold with the Cardinals.
But we still need to see him start to have success down there, right? I mean, you're just not going to bring someone up to bring someone up. He's young. If he comes up, he's got to play. And, more importantly, I'd like to see him, string together a few great weeks.
Well, he's, first of all, been productive over the course of the last few games that he has played. Jordan Walker has. But there are a couple of things. Number one, he has to, as Mo said, he's got to put up numbers. That's not what the Cardinals said when they sent him down. And the other part of it is to get called up, there's going to have to be a spot open for him to play. If he's going to play every day, whether it's Burleson or whether it's probably not going to be center field where Jordan Walker is going to play. So Nootbaar, Pham, Burleson are going to have to not play if Jordan Walker does this year.
And we have seen a lot of things happen with the outfield, so that's not out of the realm of possibilities. I'm not, knock on wood, no more injuries, hopefully, for this team, especially the outfield. But, nobody expected Michael Ciani to be a factor of the outfield, but because of the injuries that opened up the door for that to happen. With Dylan Carlson, he experienced a lot of injuries, and there was so much potential there for him, and it just didn't work out in St. Louis. Injuries being a big factor there, but what is another reason why you think that it didn't work out with Dylan Carlson here with the Cardinals?
I think there's a couple of things. Number one, he was never able to become a switch hitter, which he came up with, and he could never hit from both sides of the plate. And there were a couple of years ago in September, O'Neill got hurt. They had sent Dylan Carlson down to do a rehab stint, didn't even get a rehab stint game in, and they brought him up when O'Neill got hurt. Didn't get an opportunity to do the rehab stint. I think the Cardinals, in some ways, rushed him to the majors because
you're stealing all my thunder.
Sorry, Dan, but you
you're
had
100% right.
He didn't get any games in 2020, and then they call him up in 2021.
You're right.
And then those sorts of situations where he's rushed back from injuries. I don't know if he came back too quick this year.
I think he did.
I think so too.
Yeah. And here's the thing: you stole all my thunder, Randy. So now I'm just upset because
give your opinions, though.
Okay, all right, I'll give my opinion. I do think he was rushed, but I don't blame the player in this regard, because if you're a player, their mindset is, I need to get back to save my job. I need to get back to compete for my job. And to your point, a couple of years ago, kind of forced back into a lineup maybe when he wasn't ready. And the same thing happened this year. And that's a tough place to be in for a player, because internally they're saying, I need to play. I need to play because I'm trying to earn my job. So I get that too. And I'm going to use the word rushing a prospect as well. And I think the Cardinals, having seen what's happened with Carlson and some of the others that they've had, they don't want to rush him to the big leagues. Mm-hmm. And, and if he comes to the major leagues, as Mo said, he's got to play. You're not going to sit a 22-year-old and bring him up to the big leagues and say, well, we hope you get a few at-bats throughout the week and just go ahead and sit on the pine. That ain't going to happen. So when he comes up, he's got to play. And, Brooke, you're right. I don't know where he would fit in to the lineup right now, because you have other guys that are producing. You have some flexibility with Donovan, and he can play the outfield. Siani has emerged. You're not going to take Burleson out of the lineup. So where's he going to play? And the best place for him to play right now is in the minor leagues.
By getting Tommy Pham, I knew that opportunity was pretty much gone for Jordan Walker this season, because you got what you needed right there. So you're giving Jordan Walker more time in the minors, and now the Cardinals they're in the position where they could really try to figure out how to maximize, though, Jordan Walker moving forward. So what do you think is the lesson, the takeaway with Dylan Carlson? Because as we mentioned, he was once a top-rated player in the Cardinals minor league system. We know that he could play at the major league level. Of course, as we mentioned, there was a lot of injuries and struggles from the left side of the plate. I believe he was hitting, sub 200 from the left side of the plate this season. It was not great whatsoever. So what's the lesson here learned from Dylan Carlson, that situation they could take to Jordan Walker, and even, I would say, a player like Zach Thompson? Two players that we know, Jordan Walker and Zach Thompson, that have played at the major league level. They have that potential, but are now kind of struggling and have been in the minors.
For me, there's two, and one of them is what we just mentioned. Don't rush them. Let them marinate at the minor league level. The other is, let them be themselves. Remember last year when Zach Thompson got hot, he said, I'm copying what Clayton Kershaw did, and he had a great stretch run. And then the Cardinals try to change his approach. Same thing with Jordan Walker. He hits the ball. I think he had the hardest hit Cardinal ball last year, like 114 miles an hour.
That's
something
what
like
it was.
That. And they want him to change his swing, and they want him to change his approach. Now, changing approach is one thing, but changing swing is another altogether. They want more loft. Okay, not everybody is a home run hitter, and I think that's one thing that baseball as an industry has really, unfortunately, grabbed hold of, is that they want everybody to be a home run hitter. You know what? If you have a guy that hits the ball hard, there are going to be times where the ball goes out of the ballpark, but he might not be a 35 to 40 homer guy. He might be a 20 homer guy, but a 65 extra base hit guy.
I'm really interested how he approaches this offseason and what you do. And if he does something like you're talking about, Randy, to go to somebody, have a singular voice in his ear, and also how much he just gets away from the game for a little bit and just mentally shut it down, start from scratch, expect that you're going to be in the lineup next year or make this team, because he's got to be in the lineup if he's going to make the team. And that's something I'm really curious about.
And we should note here, by the way, that if we go back to Harrison Bader and Colton Wong and Dylan Carlson, and there are several other Cardinal prospects over the years, they either told us off the record or we heard that too many voices in their ears causes problems, and too many different approaches causes problems. And, for example, too many different approaches being, okay, we're going to send you down. We want you to change your approach. We want you to change your swing and change your approach to pitches. And then you don't produce after you make the change. And they say, well, now you need to produce for a long time. I think that the Cardinals need to concern themselves, and I think this is a major issue with the organization, with production rather than process. And I have no problem with them saying he's got to be able to produce like he did in AA, like he did when he first came up last year. But then don't change him and say you've got to produce with what we want you to do. It's got to be one or the other. Either it's the process or the production, but it's really difficult for a player to do both.
I think my big takeaway from Dylan Carlson, that whole situation, is, to your point, a consistent message that is coming from the organization of what specifically they're looking for from them, and also consistent playing time and being able to do that. When Jordan Walker gets here, stay here, let him work through it, let him work with these veterans. A lot of people are texting him, what about having him work with Tommy Pham? I think you need to be workable, but you also need to have that confidence within yourself of saying, okay, I know which message works for me, and that's something that is very beneficial that he can learn from some of these veterans.
And I like Tommy Pham, but there are people in the Cardinals have access to, like Holiday, like Clark, like McGuire, that have been big league hitting coaches. Well, Matt's not a big league hitting coach, but I mean, big leaguers right and left are going out to work with him. We know what his capabilities are. I don't know that Tommy has those capabilities right now. I would rather, if they're going to do something with Walker, with somebody separate that's not Turner Ward, and I don't even know if that's going to happen, but I would hope that it would be somebody who already has credentials as a hitting teacher.
This is a lot of mental stuff, too, where guys get to a point where they're not having success, and then it snowballs, and their confidence goes down. And that's something I think that you have to be very careful about. So with like Jordan Walker, to Mo's point, you want to see some sustained success to where he is growing on that and feels confident at the plate and not looking over his shoulder and not hearing different voices. Just go up and be you. You know, go up and be the kind of player that got you to this level at an early age. So confidence would be something I'd look at, too.
And when we all go back to that video, right, when he first made the major leagues, and what did Ollie tell him? You made the team because we know that you can overcome adversity. And then the first adversity he faced in the major leagues, they sent him down.
Yeah.
I think, though, that they're trying to protect him, and I can understand them doing that. The thing I'd be curious about right now, because it happened early in the season, is how much is he pulling off pitches? Because major league guys were able to get him on the outer half and get him to chase. And as long as he's not doing that, then I think you'll see a Jordan Walker that it was this time last year, he started to take off in the major league level. So I think that's something you have to look at mechanically where he's at. And you can't just bring him up and not have success. I mean, that's really hard, because then he gets buried, and that happens mentally. And I'd be very, very concerned about that. If he comes up, man, it's got to be on the heels of him having some sustained success once he gets up here.
Yeah, the confidence built up. You don't want to see it. I mean, that was really painful watching here recently with Dylan Carlson. And it is on the player at the end of the day, because some people have pointed out, too, and this is a very fair point, that he was given a lot of opportunities, but you could just tell towards the end there he needed a fresh start.
Yeah, he did.
Change of scenery for sure.
And you know what? Some guys don't do it right away. Didn't Willie Mays start off one for his first 26 and they wanted to send him down?
And then I think it was a home run off of Warren Spahn. Yeah.
Right. So
things happen.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to. If Churio, look at the numbers for Jackson Churio with Milwaukee this year. Sometimes you just have to let a guy be and let him play for a while.
Didn't that happen with Keith Hernandez too?
Yeah, Keith Hernandez got sent down a couple of times. But yeah, so. If you're an organization now, when you're rushing these guys to the majors like you are, sometimes you have to expect them to struggle a little bit.
Yeah. And how much, from an organizational standpoint, can you take the growing pains at the major league level? I think that's the other thing, too. What's your threshold to take some of the growing pains? And that's what you're getting with Jordan Walker. And I have to remind myself, he's only 22. There's guys that were drafted that this last couple of weeks that he's younger than. And so you got to keep that in mind when you're talking about Jordan Walker.
Weatherholt, same age.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good example. It's perfect.
Yep. Jackson Churio, by the way, OPS in, let me get to months here. OPS in March and April, 608. And then it fell down to 542 in May. In June, 897. In May, or June, July, 876. So got off to a really bad start for the first 2 months. They let him play, let him work through it, and now he's become a star in Major League Baseball. So sometimes the biggest thing you have to do is the hardest thing you have to do is be patient. The Rush Hour Reset coming your way next on 101 ESPN. It's amazing how efficient they are at Mentality, whether it's the Chesterfield or South County locations. If you want to be the person that you desire to be, if you want to be energetic, and if you want to avoid fatigue, if you want to be able to feel like you did when you were in your 20s, get to Mentality. And your first visit, they're going to do a complete panel of your blood work to find out where your testosterone level is. And inevitably, guys, if you're beyond the age of 30, that testosterone level is going to be below the level of normal. And they've got an FDA-approved testosterone supplemental treatment that will bring your testosterone level back. You go in every week, and you get the treatment. It only takes a couple of minutes. You're in and out of there, and it makes a huge difference in the way that you feel. And at Mentality, they're going to do a great job of working with your insurance company so that your out-of-pocket expenses are as low as they can possibly be. It's a difference maker for the way you feel and the way you're able to go about life at Mentality. Get started now. Learn what they do at lowtusa.com and get back in the game. Be the guy that you want to be with Mentality at lowtusa.com. Cards and Cubs, 7:05 tonight at Wrigley Field. The Cardinals will pitch Sonny Gray against Shoto Imanaga, 7:05 at Wrigley and on Bally Sports Midwest. Plus, a game tonight is on MLB Network as well. The Cardinals, having won a couple in a row against the Texas Rangers. They won on Tommy Pham's grand slam on Tuesday night. Then yesterday scored 10 runs in a 10-1 rout of the Rangers, taking 2 of 3 from the world champions. And a great job by Michael McGreevy. What do they do now with McGreevy? Do you think that the next time they need a spot start, is McGreevy the guy, or do they go back to do they ever go back to Matthew Liberatore as a starter? I wonder what the next move would be if the Cardinals need a starting pitcher for a day.
Got to be McGreevy. Mm-hmm. I would think so after yesterday and the way that he pitched. I talked about this earlier. There are game scores that come out talking about the efficiency and how well they pitched in a game, and he has a top 20 start this season for the Cardinals after one start. He sacrificed velocity to get more movement, and he had 6 different pitches that he threw 10 or more times. His cutter was a really big pitch. He took a mile per hour off that pitch, and I've watched him a lot in the minor leagues, guys, and he throws strikes and he gets ground balls. He had 12 ground ball outs yesterday, and when that happens, you're going to have success with the kind of defense he has behind him. And I think that's going to happen with Eric Fetty, too, who gets a lot of ground balls but has a really good defense at times behind him, especially from the left side of the infield and to your first baseman and to your center field when Siani is in there. So looking for success for both these guys.
I will say it definitely made me feel better about the pitching situation right now with the Cardinals, not just here at the big league level when you're getting Eric Fetty to the starting rotation. I know that Lance Lynn is dealing with a knee injury, but now you have Andre Palante, who had the best numbers out of all the starters in July. He has more of an opportunity here, but then also seeing, we talk about a lot about what do these pitchers look like in the minor leagues, which we haven't been able to see a lot of, where you had to turn to Matthew Liberatore, so you wonder, okay, if we're going to Libby so much in these spot starts, what do we have in the minors? It must not be that good. So it made me feel a little bit better seeing McGreevy come up and have success like he did, not only with what you have going on here, but in the minors as well.
Meanwhile, Jojo Romero had another outing without a strikeout. You know, he had a strikeout in each of his first 9 appearances this year.
He's over 30% in his first month,
right?
Close to 40.
Yeah, in his last 12 appearances, he's only had 2 appearances where he had at least a strikeout. So he's had 10 without a strikeout.
And this buys you some time. I mean, the start that McGreevy gives you buys you time in the bullpen, guys to rest. A couple of blowout games kind of eases everybody. Also, it allows you to set your bullpen with rest and also set your rotation going into the series with Chicago tonight.
And Sean Armstrong joins the club today. The Cardinals will have to make a roster move, and then Fetty will start tomorrow, and the Cardinals will have to make another roster move to get those 2 onto the roster. Ryan Ludus will be one of the guys that will be out of here. I don't know who the other one will be.
McGreevy.
Oh,
that
yeah,
would
there
make
you go.
sense.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It does.
So,
yeah.
Okay, easy.
And Tommy Pham, you had yesterday, too, being able to provide some more offensively. Yesterday, what really stood out to me, because when we had Mosaic on, he mentioned that it just felt nice in that first game with Tommy Pham where they won 8-1 to not have such a close game. They've played so many tight games this season, 1-run, 2-run games. And to be able to win 8-1 and then 10-1 yesterday was great because you were able to do it in a different way than we have seen a lot of times this season. 6 for 11 with runners in scoring position, 14 hits, and they were able to score 10 runs without a homer, which that kind of seems crazy that the Cardinals were able to do that. It's been a lot of solo homers for them this season.
Tommy Pham, exit velocities, he's hitting the ball hard. 106, 106, 103, 104. And with a lefty going tonight, makes the decision for Ali, I would assume, pretty easy. He's got to be in the lineup.
Yeah.
And if he continues to produce like this, again, it's only 2 games, very small sample size, but he's got to be in the lineup if he's producing and ride it out for the rest of the season.
At the Olympics, the USA men's basketball team won yesterday big over South Sudan. The U.S. rowing team wins their first gold since 1960. 1960 was the last time U.S. rowing won, so congratulations to them. And golf is underway at the Olympics as well.
Can't wait. I think it's going to be fun. I can't wait. Some of the biggest names in golf are a part of this. Certainly the Americans, led by Schauffele and Scheffler. It's always hard to say that, or Scheffler, Schauffele. Yeah, I did it right. Those are hard to say back to back, but yeah, it's going to be fun to see. And you know, the interesting thing we can ask Jay about it is, how does this compare to for these guys to a major? Like, how serious do they take it to get a gold medal? Is it something that is very, very important to them, or just something that they look at and say, hey, it's great to compete, great that I'm wearing the red, white, and blue. It means something in that regard, but how much does it mean to really win this tournament? I'd be really interested in that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it means more than a major to them, but I wonder just how important it is for these guys once they hit the course.
Well, I think especially with the way that they have been performing going into this for the guys who are representing Team USA, I could see, I don't know, obviously, these guys personally, but don't you think personality-wise, this seems like a group of guys for Team USA that would care about that?
Oh, big time. Yeah, I think everybody wants to play for their country. Schauffele, by the way, shot behind Hideki Matsuyama. Matsuyama is done for the day. Schauffele is through 16. Eric Van Rooyen is in third, tied with Carlos Ortiz at 6 under. Joaquin Neiman is at 5. Emiliano Grillo is also at -5, along with Tom Kim and Demito Pereira. I'm going to slide down and see if I can find. There's Scheffler. He's at 4 under, finished for the day, so he is 4 behind Hideki Matsuyama.
I think you may see some surprise names at the top of this leaderboard, and the reason I bring that up is many of the players that play outside the United States have played this course. They are familiar with it, and that is something that's very, very important, having familiarity with the course and not just jumping on, having a couple practice rounds, and then saying, okay, I'm ready to go. We talked about it. It's one thing to have preparation, being on a golf course. It's another thing that's tournament golf. So something to keep in mind as they move forward.
The other Americans, by the way, Colin Morikawa is 1 under. He is tied for 32nd. And I didn't mention Rory, by the way. Rory is at 3 under, so he's 5 off the pace. And Wyndham Clark, +4. Rough day for Wyndham Clark.
He's not playing well.
No.
This time last year, he just won the U.S. Open and was part of the Ryder Cup team. And right now, he's not playing well at all.
Yeah, so
Man, +4.
Yeah. So the golf underway. You got to get up early to watch it on Golf Channel in the Olympics.
I'll be there.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
up early. I'll watch.
Yep.
Maybe we need to get it on the TV here.
Yeah, we could do that. Channel 809, I believe, is Channel 809 is the Golf Channel if we want to go to that. There is your rush hour reset. Coming up, the Padres gave up most of their top prospects to go for it now. Would you prefer your team take that approach? That's next on 101 ESPN. I've got exciting news from Schnucks. You know, I'm always talking about how great the rewards program at Schnucks is, and that's because I use it. And now it's even better because they just released new perks to make it even more personalized. You know, I always buy a lot of ingredients for carrot cake, right? Well, they have personal double points days, which makes earning rewards easier and faster. Just keep an eye on the rewards app for your personal double points day coupon. And once you clip it, you can use it to get double the points on your entire purchase. So instead of your usual 2% back, you're getting 4% back on Schnucks rewards to use on a future purchase. You also get to choose when to use the coupons, and you can apply the next time you stock up. So you're really going to get more bang for your buck. And I mentioned that I use some ingredients a lot, and those will show up in coupons in the Schnucks Rewards app so that they're personalized for me. This is an in-app coupon when you apply for your entire package, and you need to be sure to download the Schnucks Rewards app and check your digital coupons. That's where you'll find this coupon when it periodically pops up. Download the Schnucks Rewards app today and look for those personal double points days. Rocc and Randy, the opening drive on 101 ESPN. And the Dodgers got a lot of credit over the course of the last couple of days for making the moves that they made. They acquired 5 different major league players and only had to give up 1 top 15 prospect. Meanwhile, the San Diego Padres took a different tack. They were more than willing to give up 4 of their top 6 prospects, and 3 of those went for Tanner Scott, the reliever from the Miami Marlins, so that they could rebuild their bullpen and make it stronger. The Padres go for it on a regular basis. They usually don't have a very good farm system because they get veterans, but their fans know that their organization wants to go for it right now.
Hit the nail on the head. I think that you owe it to your fan base if you're in that position to potentially go into the playoffs. I think you also owe it to the team that's on the field. You know, guys in the clubhouse. The Cardinals are a good example with what Tommy Pham has done. It energizes your team. So I think you owe it to both of them. And the other thing about prospects, Randy, you can go to Baseball America and you can go to some of the other sites that project prospects. It's in the eye of the beholder. So one team's treasure may not be the other way around. You know what I'm saying? I mean, teams look at certain prospects and say, you may not value this guy. He may not be in your top 15, but we like him. And we think we can do something with him. So that happens all the time. And so I think it's interesting to see how these things play out. But I give, you just mentioned how you're the San Diego fan base. Man, if you're the San Diego fan base, this guy's pulling off deals right and left.
Yeah.
A.J. Preller, he's a riverboat gambler. I think Jerry DiPoto is the same way. Although the Seattle was a little quiet. I thought they'd be a little bit more aggressive with some of the things that they did, but still try to get into the trade market for sure.
And I heard their general managers say that they wanted to get ahead of the game because they didn't think many bats would be traded. They think they got the best bat that was traded at the deadline in Rosarena. And then they got J.J. Chargois. And another relief pitcher. Their thought is, even though they were quiet, they did what they... plus, they got Justin Turner, too.
That's the other one.
They feel like they did what they wanted to do.
It was a very aggressive approach by the Padres. I think this is a really good question here. Or statement. 314, quality of the prospects matters too. The number 1 prospect in the Cardinals system isn't comparable to the number 1 prospect in the Dodgers system, for instance.
Well... I have not looked at the top 100. I don't know that that's the case or not.
So Walker, with his time in the major leagues, is not listed as a prospect, I believe, anymore. So he's got too much major league time to be in that. I mean,
Mason Wynn is up in the majors.
Yeah, that's another one. I mean, the Cardinals have their fair share. Tink Hintz would be one. Chase Davis is another that's starting to come on. The kid they just drafted will be somebody that you have to look at as well. But, you know, again, I go back to it. Some teams evaluate prospects of another team completely different. And they have scouts all over the place looking at these teams. And there may be just one scout that is looking at the National League Central and looking at the young players that they have coming up. They may have a National League Central scout that's only looking at the major league clubs. So they have eyes on all these guys, and they go in with a plan. They go in if they say, hey, if you want this guy, you're going to have to give up player X. But how many of these players pan out is a big question. And the other thing is, how much do you owe it to your fan base and to those that are in uniform and your coaching staff to put your best foot forward and get a team out there that you think can compete the final 2 months and get you into the playoffs?
I've always liked the idea, and it was easier to do when players were not being paid as much as they are now. The top players are getting outrageous amounts of money, and the Cardinals were able to get a lot of hometown discounts over the years.
Yeah.
But if I could trade a might be for an is, a player who might be good for a guy who is good, so that I can get Mark McGwire or Jim Edmonds or Darryl Kyle or Scott Rowland or Larry Walker or Matt Holliday, I'll always trade the might be for an is if, and this is from a baseball perspective, I can handle it financially.
That's the key. You know, you sit there and when you trade those players, you're saying, I'll trade them because we're not going to be able to pay them after this year. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened with McGwire, Edmonds, Rowland, some of the other. Renteria was a salary dump in Miami. They were turning things over there. And if your organization is willing to spend, then you can do that. Now, that was the mindset back then. And now it's looked at as controllable assets as being probably the number one thing. If you're looking at a deal outside of just a rental, but looking at truly getting a guy that's going to be there beyond this season, like Fetty. That is he's not making a ton of money, and he's going to be in your rotation for these 2 months and for next year, so you get some stability as you look forward to what you have to spend and then also what you're looking at on the field.
So say with the Cardinals this year specifically, they had the ability to go out and get Tanner Scott. That was an option for them. Would you have done what the Padres did, where you'd give up top 4 prospects, I believe is what they gave up for Tanner Scott?
I think if I'm in the Cardinals situation, although he is a free agent after this year.
That's why I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I think I would have difficulty doing it. But again, the Padres, even with the death of their owner, Peter Seidler, they don't appear to care about having top prospects.
That's A.J. Preller has been like that since day one. I mean, look at what he got. He got Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was willing to give up those guys, and there's a couple players that are going to be impactful potentially for the Nationals, but it may take a year or two for that to happen.
Well, they had 3 of them on the field the other day. Abrams is an absolute stud.
Again, it happens.
Yeah.
You know, you're giving up a lot, but you had to give up a lot to get a lot too.
Right.
It's unfortunate for them. They just didn't feel like they could keep him.
Yeah.
Speaking of top prospects, Jackson Holliday, I know we briefly mentioned it earlier, but what about him yesterday with the Grand Slam?
Yeah, and didn't look good in his first 2 at-bats and then hits the Grand Slam. And he's going to be great. And their third baseman got hurt in Baltimore, so he's going to get legitimate playing time there.
I love their team, and I love what they did at the deadline. They solidified their starting 5, got a couple of guys. You have Corbin Burns. You got these young players that are the nucleus of their everyday 9. They're going to be fun to watch. They're going to be tough to beat.
I think as fans, one thing, and a lot of people don't like to hear this, but you have to work within the confines of a budget, because every team in baseball except for one, even the Yankees are dealing with a budget now. And the Cardinals' budget, the Cardinals, their revenues are roughly $100 million a year less than the Mets. So they're going to have less money to spend on payroll. But if I could, within my budget, trade prospects, go back and think about the Cardinals. Speaking of Soto, would you have rather had Juan Soto for those couple of years or Gorman and Carlson?
Do we know that was the package that those guys were a part of?
We know that Mo went down and told Carlson and Gorman that they weren't going to be traded in a Soto deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's also a point, though, that if they were not a part of that, that's also trying to ease their minds, and I think that happens, too.
I just used those 2, and there obviously would have been more, but that's just my point about, because we thought they were going to be so good, and they were might-be's, and they still might be, but the 2 years of Soto would have certainly changed the Cardinals' fortunes over the course of the last couple of years.
And they're cost controlled.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big thing, too.
Yeah, and the Cardinals, again, within budget, Soto had turned down $440 million from the Marlins or from the Nationals, and the Cardinals knew they weren't going to sign him.
And that's the other part of this. If you have no chance to sign him, what's the point in giving up what you feel are 2 really good major league players that you have cost control over them?
And the Cardinals could do that with Matt Holliday when they traded for him 15 years ago. Different animal now. Baseball's a different animal now, and most players are going to go into free agency, and as we have seen, one player got $700 million. The Cardinals are not signing a player for $700 million.
No, not many teams did.
Or 701, I guess they would have had to pay.
Exactly.
And you remember the mindset back in the early 2000s. It was go out and get these guys, get him into St. Louis. We think they're going to love a baseball atmosphere and the way the town accepts you and the way that you're treated here by the organization and the fan base. And then maybe we get a little bit of a hometown discount. And that was the mindset. That was the playbook for them, and those days are over, in my opinion.
Well,
to an extent.
See, Goldy, here's the difference, Dan, is the amount of money they're being paid. Goldy took a discount, but he's still making $26 million.
Exactly.
Arenado took a discount, but he was still getting $25 million from the Cardinals, getting $35 million overall. But that's a lot of money.
It is.
You get 35 here, 25 there. All of a sudden, that starts adding up.
And other players you need to put on your roster and put good players on there. They're going to cost you as well.
Well, and that's why you need Shohei, what he did. He got kind of creative there, where it helped the team where they still could go out and get more pieces, which the Dodgers have no money problems. But still, it kind of helped benefit them. So you have the workaround that you could do now that we're seeing teams do, where you identify a young player that you want to lock up really early on, like Corbin Carroll, what they did with him, and also Jackson Churio, another player. Is that the way that you can work around this for these young players?
Yes, if you evaluate properly.
And that's the scary part, right?
Yeah. Because the Cardinals could have done that with Dylan Carlson, right? But what if you have Dylan Carlson in a $100 million contract right now?
No thanks.
No.
Yeah. So you better be pretty... Dan, what'd you say about my fight answers?
conviction.
You better have some conviction, right? Or otherwise you'll get convicted.
Well, think about Mason Wynn, Alec Burleson, or those candidates that when you go into spring training next year, that Mo, who has tried to lock up guys, Alan Craig, Wong, Carpenter, or those guys you at least approach and get, kind of test the waters a little bit. What are you thinking, from their representation?
Would you guys still do that? I would still do that. I would approach those players and try to get them under long-term contracts.
100%.
I think so, especially if you're working under certain financial restraints. I think that's the way that you have to approach things.
You buy out a year or two of free agency, get them long-term. Yeah. For the short term. Long term initially, and then see what happens once they hit free agency.
And hopefully by the end of this month, there will be some clarity about TV revenue.
Yeah, that's part of it too.
And I think the Cardinals have clarity about what's happening with their ticket revenue, which is why they were able to go out and get people like Holiday and Walker and not McGuire, after McGuire. Anything that happened during the season after McGuire was because Cardinal fans were filling the seats. And they aren't now. And if you aren't getting that, then you aren't going to be able to get those players at the deadline that you'd like to, the big money players that you'd like to be able to get.
And you give ownership a lot of credit. People are coming through the turnstiles, and then they turn that into bringing in a Renteria, bringing in Vigna, bringing in Dave Veers, bringing in Jimmy Edmonds. I mean, these were guys that they had to sign if they were going to keep them long term. And Edmonds turns out to be a Cardinal Hall of Famer, and those kind of things worked out.
Yep. The Cardinals will play the Cubs today, and the Cubs, man, the sleeping giant. Let's see what I was thinking about last night because I was watching them play. Cubs are not far away, but what they need is they need Corbin Burns and Pete Alonso. They're not far away in terms of the number of players, but the two players they need are big-time impact guys.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to watch this series. Next up, after the win over South Sudan yesterday, is it reasonable to compare this USA Olympic basketball team to the Dream Team of 92? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hi, it's Randy Carricker, and when it comes time to sell your home, you need a reliable, experienced, and trusted agent. Well, Gloria Liu is the best in town with your home sold guaranteed realty. And here's why you should call her at 314-325-6888, because her name is her promise, and that really says it all. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Now, Gloria's mastered the home selling promise by guaranteeing upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself. That's guaranteed. Does your agent compare? Gloria has solutions for every kind of home seller, whatever you want to do. If you want to have a fast sale with no hassles, Gloria's multiple cash offer program is a great option to consider with no showings, no costly repairs, and you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer to choose from in minutes with Gloria Liu, and she's easy to get in touch with. Get started today by calling her at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. As always, Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. To learn more, visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals back in action after finishing off their series against the Rangers with a win, and it'll come up against the Cubs for a 4-game series. It'll be Sonny Gray facing off against the lefty for the Cubs, Shoto Imanaga. Imanaga on the season 8-2 with a 2.95 ERA. And our long national nightmare is over. It is August 1st, which means that there is football back on your television. The Bears and the Texans will play in the Hall of Fame game tonight right here on 101 ESPN. You can catch it on 101 ESPN Radio starting at 7 p.m. That's right. Right there. Football is back, Danny Mac. I know Danny Mac's happier than anybody else out there, and that is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
One of the most difficult things it is to do. We're going to try to compare two teams from 32 years apart. 92, 02, 12, 22, 24, 32 years ago. The Dream Team played, and the Dream Team had 11 of their 12 players wind up in the Hall of Fame. Barkley, Bird, Ewing, Johnson, Jordan, Malone, Mullen, Pippen, Robinson, Stockton, and Drexler. The only player on that team that didn't wind up in the Hall of Fame was the only college player, Christian Laettner. This team is dominant. Will they have 11 players make the Hall of Fame? Will Anthony Edwards make the Hall of Fame? Maybe. Curry will, LeBron will, Durant will. I don't know if Derek White's a Hall of Famer. I don't know if Tyrese Halliburton's a Hall of Famer. Jason Tatum is on that track. Joel Embiid, probably a Hall of Famer. Drew Holiday, interesting. Two-time champion now, great defensive player, maybe. Bam Adebayo, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. Anthony Davis is, and Devin Booker probably will be. So when you look player for player, 92 is probably better, but there's been an evolution, guys and gal, over the course of these 32 years. People in the world are bigger, stronger, faster. I do think, and this is heresy, But I think if you put this team on the floor against that team, I think this team would beat it. Now, factor in that most of those guys on that team are 60 now, but still, I think this team would beat it.
So you'd be facing them if you could teleport basically back into time.
Yeah.
We get a time machine, get the DeLorean going where you go back in time. You're saying prime version of the dream team.
Yeah, if you put them on the floor together, I don't think there's enough size and athleticism, with all due respect to people like Patrick Ewing and David Robinson. I think dealing with AD and Durant and LeBron, I think that is very, very difficult. Malone could handle LeBron defensively. I don't know where you go to stop the other guys. Now, how does this team stop Michael Jordan? I don't know that either. I don't know that there's a defender on this team. Matthew, who do you think would, among this group, would you put Tatum on Michael?
I mean, he's done a good job. I mean, he was a rookie and he was guarding LeBron pretty well. No, I just...
Anthony Davis ain't playing any defense. Holiday's not big enough.
Yeah, Drew would be one of those guys. I mean, Drew's got a 7. He's 6'4", but he's got a 6'9" wingspan, I want to say. So Drew Holiday,
maybe that'd be the guy.
6'6"
I
Jordan.
wish him luck.
Yeah, he's not going to do well.
Yeah, I think it's tough to say because I think the Dream Team will always have a very soft spot in our hearts, and rightfully so, because they were just so dominant during the Olympics, and so you have to give them a lot of credit for that. But the talent with this team currently, I feel like they're way more polished than the Redeem Team. There's a lot more depth talent-wise with this group. It's hard, and they're also playing against more talent. The Dream Team really didn't have to play against a lot of other NBA
really
talent
important.
back then.
Right. They were dominant. And the polished part is a really important point here because we do have a national program now with Mike Krzyzewski and followed by Popovich. And now Kerr has been with the national team since 2019. And you've had essentially the same group of players that know what they're doing together rather than putting an all-star team together.
I'm tepid when I say this. I'd go with the 92 team. Now, the competition that they played was nothing, to your point, Brooke. I mean, the average margin of victory was 44 points.
Yeah.
44. Yeah. They weren't facing anybody, and the world is caught up with this team to an extent, or at least basketball worldwide has tried to catch up and is caught up to an extent. Some of the best players in the NBA are not U.S.-born players. But LeBron is still, you can make case, who's the best player of all time. He's in the conversation. You have Steph Curry, Larry Bird, they cancel each other out.
They do.
So that's something to think about. And then you have Kevin Durant, who will go down potentially as the greatest basketball Olympian from this country.
Yes.
He's unbelievable in international competition. So
Right.
I can go both ways, but if I had to lean one way, I'd maybe go the 92 team. But I see both sides.
The other part of this is the 92 team had an elite 6'9" point guard. And that's always a problem for any opposition.
That's incredible, isn't it? It is. It's unbelievable how good they were.
From the 3 and 4, the old team is better because it was not only full of Hall of Famers, but full of legends. Maybe only 2 to 3 legends on this team currently.
I would say...
Well, the careers aren't fully done yet.
Curry is a legend. LeBron is a legend. Durant is a legend. I thought that is a very safe comment. I can't disagree with that.
I like the legends that you... What about...
Everybody on that the other team, though. Barkley, as a player, legendary. Bird, legend. Even Ewing, who never won an NBA championship, did win in college.
Yep.
Magic, obviously. Jordan, obviously. Malone, until this year, was the second leading scorer in the history of the league. Chris Mullin, I guess you could throw out. He wasn't really legendary. Pippen, yes. David Robinson, yes. Stockton, yes. Drexler, yes. So that's a great point, and I will accept that. Matthew, were you going to disagree with that?
No, I was just going to say the Kawhi Leonard being off the roster certainly shifted the entire conversation we were having about defense. Because when you have him, you have a guy who, he shut down. He slowed down and in some ways shut down LeBron in the final. Yep. I mean, single-handedly was the leader of the Raptors. I mean, that's a shifting kind of player that kind of changes the conversation. And you know what? Jaylen Brown is obviously, if he's there instead of Derek White, we're talking about a guy who just won Finals MVP, 100%.
Yeah. So the best, all the best guys aren't on this team. All the best guys were on that team, except for Isaiah.
44 points, the margin of victory.
Pretty good.
Wow.
And even when you were winning by 38, you elbowed an Angolan. And just Coming up, we've got Rock and Roll as we head down the stretch on this edition of the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to know about Chesterfield Fence and Deck. 56 years in business for Chesterfield Fence and Deck as one of St. Louis's top names in home improvement. And they go about business in such a great way. They have a commitment to put quality and professionalism first in everything they do. They provide the best and longest lasting outdoor products available with skilled installation teams who carry out their mission to be the very best in customer service and quality craftsmanship. And at Chesterfield Fence and Deck, they do make fences and decks, and they do a great job for your home. But they also do a fantastic job with sunrooms and screen rooms, patios, retaining walls, and more. Get in touch with Chesterfield Fence and Deck at chesterfieldfence.com or give them a call at 800-300-4054. They'll come out to your house, provide a free, no-obligation project design, and then they'll do great work for you. They're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They're a BBB Torch Award winner, and everything is covered by 5-year labor warranties and comprehensive material warranties as well. So if you're in the market for a great outdoor project, get in touch with Chesterfield Fence and Deck, chesterfieldfence.com. The number 800-300-4054. Tell them Randy sent you and get 20% off your next installed outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best. It is time for Rock and Roll. Here is Matthew.
Obviously, the Olympics are pretty cool. One of the coolest things I saw today, though, was from an athlete that I've seen a little bit of, and I never would have pegged him for the most emotional person necessarily, and yet here we go. Jason Day was out there on the course today, and he had this to say. I was just saying a little bit earlier that this is probably the most nervous I've ever been wearing a set of clothes. You look down and you see the colors. The first couple holes caught me off guard, actually, quite a lot. I was quite nervous standing over the first tee shot, and then it took me a few holes to get over it. It's amazing. We're not playing for money this week, obviously. We're playing for a medal, and you're here for that kind of, and you're here for kind of playing for free. But my point is that like it feels totally different. This is the most I felt nervous standing on a tee box wearing a set of clothes that I'm wearing for the first time. It's a good feeling because it just shows that it means a lot to me, which is good. So I'm happy about it. Little personality from Jason Day.
I like that a lot. I'm thrilled that he said that. To me, it would seem like a huge thing. Represent your country, go into the Olympics.
Yes.
Obviously, as he said, the factor is not making money. I would imagine, though, that the Ryder Cup, a lot of those guys feel the same way, representing their country and something that the rest of the world, if you're a golf fan, is watching. So, pretty cool.
Unless you're Patrick Cantley.
Yeah, then you're not going to wear a hat, are you?
No.
Yep, not wear that hat. You should have.
So, I think that is cool, though. And that is one of the great things about the Olympians that make a lot of money. It's one thing if you are a shooter or if you're a badminton player. But if you're making a ton of money like the basketball players or the golfers are,
that's where I was going with it.
You're there to represent your country and take pride in it. That's a pretty cool thing.
Absolutely. And take the money out of the equation. You're playing for your country. You're playing for pride. And let's face it, when it's all said and done, you had a gold medal. That would be amazing.
Yeah. It really would. I think it's all, I enjoy watching all of it. I know that a lot of the other lesser known sports are not getting a lot of money, but there's a lot of pride there in representing your country. I got stuck watching some of the equestrian stuff yesterday. Do you know how they get the horses there?
No, how?
Via Air Horse One is what they call
it.
That's
cool.
That's because obviously you can't just ship a horse in a normal way. So it's a plane that's specifically designed for these very expensive horses. What?
Nothing.
What are you laughing at?
I'm not nothing. I didn't say anything.
Air Horse One.
Did I say something?
No, you didn't say anything. I just thought of a horrible joke that I needed to
say it.
No, I'm not. I'm good.
This is a safe space.
You just asked me how to ship. I can't say it. It's too mean. I can't say the joke. I'm not going to. You asked me how to ship a horse? I don't know. A lot easier when it's in a glue container.
Oh. Wow.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Uncalled for.
Did not see that coming.
Yeah, well,
and we had such a good show going today. Man.
Yeah.
We had to have one bad joke, and I was like, Randy's not going to step up to the plate today, so I'll do it.
I already did.
Plenty of times.
Yeah.
Also, I want to just paint a quick picture, which was 2 days ago, Billy Napier, the head coach of Florida, was talking in front of the media. And while standing in front of a wall that included the national championships from 2007, he's quoted and said, "I'm a firm believer that better people are better football players, and we'll prove that this fall." I just think it's a funny thing to say as you're standing in front of the literally Aaron Hernandez and the Pouncey brothers, just right there behind you, like, "Hey, we won a national championship."
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I think he was taking a shot. I think he was taking a shot at Georgia, by the way.
We like winning. Oh, that might have been.
Yeah, I think he was taking a shot at Georgia, considering everything that's been going on there.
Hey, guys, Alex Ferrario is going to be at the Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55 on Friday from 4 to 6, gearing up for the Ironman 55 World of Outlaws. NOS Energy Sprint Cars are back for a high-speed weekend, including the most challenging race on the tour, the Ironman 55. Don't miss out on this extravaganza taking place Friday and Saturday at the Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55 in Peevely. Get all the details now at 101ESPN.com.
I'm Oaklader.
So World of Outlaws, NOS Energy Sprint Cars at I-55 Raceway. That's going to be pretty awesome. Looking forward to that. And Alex Ferrario will be there from 4 to 6 on Friday.
Good chance that BK is going to be there.
Okay.
Just kidding. After you did all that fine reading, switching things up. Yeah, things come up.
Okay.
Life
good.
happens.
Yeah. Life happens. All right. Good. Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Thank you, sir.
I promise I love animals. I swear I
don't
do.
buy
man.
that. Yeah,
fine.
I don't buy
Debatable.
Yeah, it is.
He doesn't think they have souls.
How's Stevie Nicks doing?
Oh, she's doing fantastic. She's a sweet little girl.
Good.
She has her little Cardinals bandana. I got her a new
She's got to
one
stop
the other
partying.
day.
She's got to cut down on the partying. I'm sorry, bro.
But Stevie Nicks, she likes to have fun.
Dan, how are the dogs doing?
Oh, great. I'm by myself right now with a couple. Well, I got 3 kids, but my wife is out of town with my daughter. So I shouldn't say great, actually. They're kind of emotionally down.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're a little down right
and
now.
you're liking them and you're trying to make them happier, right?
I am, but one pooped in the house, and he's a veteran. Shouldn't happen.
Veteran, yeah.
He's a veteran.
Shouldn't
happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes when they get up
and
there in
Darby
age,
and
yeah.
Maggie are all doing good. So,
Great.
yeah.
They don't poop in the house, do they?
No, they do not.
Yeah, I had a problem having to clean that up yesterday, but you know what? It's not that big a deal. We just move on.
Good. Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
Good. Danny Mac, you were awesome as always.
No, you were. It's great to be a part of the show.
It really was. I enjoyed it as well. We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us, until tomorrow morning at 7, have a wonderful Friday Eve, St. Louis.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. Michael McGreevy allowing just 1 run over 7 innings in his major league debut yesterday, leading the Cardinals to a 10-1 victory over the Rangers in the series finale. McGreevy became only the 2nd Cardinals pitcher to make his major league debut, pitching 7 or more innings, allowing no more than 1 run, and getting the win since